Good afternoon, everyone. Almost weekend time, except some of you take off early on not Wednesdays. What the hell am I doing to myself? Friday. It's Friday. 12:01 here. 72 degrees. I should be sitting on a patio drinking a margarita. But that's okay. We can do it together sometime. How about that? Do a day drinking live. Well, imagine the fun that would be. I was in here earlier chatting with everybody. I had a couple of comments I wanted to look at. Well, all of them, because everyone's comments are always awesome. Hang on one second. Give me a moment. By the way, we're back for round 2. So for those of you that were here this morning for the Debbie Collier case, that is getting more insane every day. That is getting more insane every day. It's one of those things like you just see a minute news clip and you feel like you have to have a nap. It's nuts. Shirley said, be careful bringing people up on your panel. We have a lot of trolls out there. Oh, yeah, you bet. Zav Girl had a troll on her channel yesterday. It was not. I heard about that. Hello, Aaron. I see UFC Frog made it back. Celeste is back for round 2. Avi's back for round 2. I think it was CDT, Kelly over there that happened to her. Yeah, that's why I'm always like, no, we believe you're a real person. We just turn the camera off. It's all good. We're all good here. I don't really think anyone that's come on my panel per se would do that, but you never know if somebody's walking through the house and they don't have their clothes on. You never know. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. James made it back. Hello, James. Kath Wales UK said just caught up on the earlier live. Yep, this is insane. This case with Debbie is getting crazier and crazier. Crazier and crazier. And it's in that case, it's different because everyone has differing theories for sure. Some people say unalive. She unalived herself. That's even with the press conference today. Some people are like, well, I think it's an accident. Some people are like, oh, no, something very sinister is going on. But there's no one screaming, don't talk about it. I think you know what case I'm referring to. And that's the case we're getting ready to talk about right now. And that is the case of Kylie Rodney. And I still 150%, 50,000% believe there is a case to talk about. I'm going to have a case with Cat Chats Crime and Coffee. She going to get a spanking. Thank you for the super sticker, my friend. There's definitely a case here. There's definitely something going on. Oh, Aaron, what exactly happened in a nutshell? People, they get on camera, Aaron, And as they're on camera on a panel, they decide to throw their private parts out there. YouTube doesn't like that. It's it's disgusting. And it's a really dirty thing to do to a creator, okay? Because they have to shut everything down and go back and edit it out. Mhm. Yep. I've heard there's been actually some very impressive private parts floating around. Those are the lives that I always miss though. Yep, mama goats, that's what's been happening. And then once, they spun their wheels on that, they'll find something else. You know, no moon in the camera. No flashing your junk at the camera. Mm-mm. So still all over the news, Hurricane Ivan. Is it Hurricane Ivan or Ian? I thought it said Ian on my TV or Ivan on my TV. IAN. All right, who got out of the storm? Who stuck it out? I understand the Carolinas are getting hit. Katie Bird, her son's school got shut down today. Looks like they said 2 million without power, 12 dead. Landfall in South Carolina today. Mm-mm-mm. Not good, not good. And even though I live in Tornado Alley, it makes me thankful that I'm not having to deal with what you guys are dealing with. It's awful. Uh-oh, Meower Never said it's heading my way now. Well, hopefully everybody's out of the woods and the worst is behind you. And everybody made it through safe. Let's see what our friend Jay Woody's up to. What's up, Jay?
Hey, Brooks, how's it going?
Good, except for I just got the whole damn name of a hurricane wrong. Other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, it's Ian.
I don't know why I said Ivan. There was a Hurricane Ivan, but I swear I
There
just looked
was.
at TV and I swear it said Ivan.
It's okay. They're pretty close. And just for the record, I have my clothes on today and every day.
Are you the one going around porn bombing people?
No.
Okay.
I did see the live, though, with Kelly at CDT. That was quite remarkable. I know that UFC Frog was on panel that day. I'm sure he remembers pretty well as well. So did the same thing happen to Zavgirl?
Yeah. I
Mm,
heard
mm,
whoever
mm.
porn bombed CDT, that guy's in the wrong business. I heard it looked like he was packing a damn fire hose with him.
Well, there is a business for that.
There is. Isn't there like a OnlyFans or anything? Check something like that out. Poor Kelly didn't deserve that.
Oh, no, she's such a sweetheart.
I heard that was some scary shit.
I was yeah, I was kind of doing the same thing she was and covering the screen to shield your eyes.
Well, that's a very rude thing to do. But no, we don't have any cameras here, so no funny games like that around here. Unless Fire Hose Man wants to come back, I might say turn on the camera because we don't believe you. Nobody got a screen recording. No, I wouldn't do that. So what's the word on the street? I understand quite a few people, I've been looking at it, have obtained Kylie's death certificate.
Yeah, I think that was the topic of discussion for the last 24 hours, which didn't really give us much information as far as what we already knew. I know that there were some things in there that were odd, which, of course, with this case, is even par.
It is par for the course. It takes us back to the article in the Sun. I hate to give that rag any credit, but the headline that we discussed on Tuesday or Wednesday was secret cremation as the family awaits cause of death. I said, no, they didn't cremate her. No, nobody would do that. They did. They damn sure did. What I read was, and this came from Vital Records, they had to have gotten this unofficial death cert. It can't be final. So it says August 21st, correct? Which is when Adventures with Purpose found poor Kylie.
Correct.
I believe, what's the verbiage? What's the wording? Undetermined?
Caught me off guard on that one.
Let me look at it. Hang on.
Unknown is the verbiage.
Let me see. Okay, never married. Here, I'll put it on the screen. We can look at it together. That would have helped already. Then I'm going to get to some comment. Oh, here it is. Sorry. I'm getting it together. All right. I got to put it on my screen so I can see. Glasses would help. All right. So it's got her address, County Placer, Kylie Mae Rodney. 8/21/2022, age of 16. So we can put that to rest. She's not 25. She's not 21. She's not 17. She's not 15. 16 years old. Way, way, way too young. Date of birth, 9/1/2005. Never married. Okay, on this one, I'm not seeing it. Cremate residence.
Yeah, I think it's on the bottom half.
Mentions her father. That shocks the hell out of me. Okay, let me put the bottom half up because the bottom half is what everyone's talking about. Pending.
Yeah, there's something else in between that says unknown that I was looking at, but that's my mistake.
Well, if you see it says pending there on the left, then there's an arrow. It would be nice if I could fit it all on one screen. Shows Deputy Coroner Jason Klinkenbeard. I think he's been there since like 2018. I did look that much up. Pending investigation, unknown. And then the part that really got everything cooking yesterday, and I was going through the 911 calls about Debbie. Not that I don't care about Kylie. I wasn't really ready for the discussion yet. If pregnant, okay, I got to find some better glasses. Hang on. These Dollar Tree readers, I'm telling you what. Okay, if female pregnant last year, unknown.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Unknown. So as you can see, why people would be going down yet another rabbit hole with this. We discussed it on the show one day with the press conference where they were confirming that they believed that the person that they found in the lake, Adventures with Purpose, they said, we do believe it's our missing person. One of the reporters asked, was there just one person in the car? One of the officers turned and looked over his shoulder. This has definitely added to the speculation. Could she have been pregnant?
Yeah, I go back to the press conference when is it Sheriff Brown? Is that the dude with the reddish hair?
Mm-hmm.
Was asked if there was more than one body in the car, and he hesitated like nothing before he decided to say no.
Yeah.
He had to think about that, and that was what sparked before I'd even heard anything regarding her being pregnant about at all, And that sparked my interest. Is it possible she was pregnant? And that's why he hesitated. And then this comes out, and I don't understand the question. First off, it should just be, was she pregnant or is she pregnant? And then yes or no, but it's unknown. That's just weird.
I mean, you're telling me that a medical examiner wouldn't know if Kylie was pregnant? I mean, I don't mean 9 months pregnant, belly sticking out like a basketball.
Right, but is there a fetus?
Or was, could have miscarried during, say, when she went in the water or before. I have a little more faith in medicine in 2022 than to not know this. Also, if it's before the weekend of the party, it says in the last year, wouldn't her mother know if her daughter had a miscarriage or had to end a pregnancy for some reason? Of course this is going to be talked about. Anyone that says, "Oh, this is silly," that's just how they just have to check that anyway. No, they don't. No, they don't.
Slithy Goosey says that if there was a fetus, they would have to put that as they would be well aware, and they would just redact it, and that's clearly not redacted.
Nope, it says unknown. So, this is yet another oddity to me. I know some people are like, "That's really not a big deal. They do that all the time." I don't know. I've seen in this community, I've seen quite a few death certificates, and when it's a female, I've seen a lot of yeses and nos. I don't think I've ever seen an unknown.
So I mean, this should be factual.
Well, I mean, the pending and unknown for her cause of death is disturbing enough, particularly since she's been cremated. I had many, 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 many comments after the last show and emails, just people saying, "Who would cremate their child not knowing the cause of death? Why would you want that type of finality? That there could never, ever be any further testing. What if 5 years down the road, Lindsay has some sort of thought in her mind, something rubs her the wrong way. She comes back to the month of August and she thinks, something about that party, now that I think about it, is really off. There would be no way to have any further testing done." Harsh reality, welcome, my friend, said they just want this over quick. I don't think the dad does, though. For some reason, not that I've talked to him, for some reason, I don't think the dad wants it over. I mean, I don't mean it like that. I think he wants answers, it seemed to me. When Grandpa was down at the lake, and this was the whole laptop saga, and Grandpa was at the lake, and he referred to the beanie, the bag, the laptop as evidence. Evidence is not. I understood what you meant, Harsh. I'm sorry. Yeah, Lindsay and Sammy.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I get that immediate cremation is irresponsible at best. But I do know that they tend to save tissue samples, and we would just hope and pray that there was no physical signs of blunt trauma, hematoma, water in lungs, physically provable causes of death that were not overlooked.
Mm-hmm. Bodies are exhumed often, believe it or not. They are. Something comes up down the road. It's a cold case. They're 15 years in. They will exhume a body for a lot of different reasons. Can't do it if they're cremated, but that's okay. I mean, if you guys feel that they have done their due diligence and they got everything they could off of her, and this is it, mom had her cremated, and there's nothing else to ask, then, I mean, I just don't see it. I'm saying me, if it was my child, I would not be in such a hurry for cremation. I would want every answer possible before that undoable process was done. That's just me, though. I look at Stacey Jones, who had the second autopsy on Michaela. Had she taken their word about the overdose, not challenged them and said, this isn't making sense. This is not making sense. Screw those people at the party. Screw Briley. Briley trying to be my best friend. I don't trust her. She had a second autopsy done. Guess what she found out? It was murder. Had Stacey Jones bought what she was told about an overdose, cremated Michaela, she would have never known. I think someday she may not want to know. I mean, her everyday life is fighting for Michaela.
Definitely feel you on that.
So let's get to some comments from the last show. I posted the link, guys, if anybody wants to come up and chat. We have a few things to go through that's been bugging us. Sure bugging you guys too. We'll get to that in a minute. And from the last show we did, JK said, who cremates a loved one before the cause, manner of death is determined? Usually just guilty people. That's the only thing that actually makes a little more sense to me. I don't know what her mom has done, but she wanted this cleaned up and moved on ASAP, in my opinion. This is one of many, many, many comments where people said, how could you do that without knowing the cause of death? She must have the utmost confidence in this entire organization to go ahead and go through with that. That's all I can think of. I want to see what chat says about that.
I mean, it is possible that they narrowed it down and provided those determinations to her before so.
So basically, like the medical examiner could have said, look, it's going to be one of three things. We believe either she drowned, looks like she could have suffocated. I don't want to get too graphic, but you know what I mean. Still, if they say, well, I think we have it narrowed down, we're going to go ahead, but we just can't put it on the death certificate yet. Would you still, as a parent, would you still be confident to go ahead and finalize and cremate your baby without knowing 100% for sure what happened to her?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I'm kind of a weirdo in that sense anyways, whereas I don't really believe in cremation.
Texas Tiffany said, hell no, I wouldn't. Hell no, I wouldn't. I'm just saying, for me personally, I'm not picking on what anybody else would do personally, because we're all a different person. We're all our own person. I couldn't do it. Cremation freaks me out anyway, because I'm scared of fire. I'm scared of fire. I'm not going to be cremated. All right. If anybody ever hears I was cremated, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be rattling chains over someone's bed every night. Let me see. Superhero Loves Akitas said, Kylie's keychain, keys. Hang on, I got to clean my glasses. Jeez. That would help. It's like I'm blind here. Okay, the keys, the keychain. This is from when we were talking about the whiteboard. Let me find it. I do have that. The whiteboard. Download All Trails free app. Keep a list of, where you search, basically. At the bottom, it's a description of Kylie's keychain. Okay, this really got a lot of people's attention. Besides the report to Sammy, this really got a lot of people's attention. Superhero Loves Akita goes on to say, because the only way you know they are missing is if you were at the party or you were a party to get her separated from her keys, as such is involved. So what she's saying is you wouldn't be looking for the keychain unless you knew it wasn't on her keys. I was under the assumption, well, I really can't even assume in this anymore. I kept saying, why the hell would you be looking for her keychain? It would have her keys on it. Meaning it was in neutral, was never turned on, and it got pushed in the lake, is what I was thinking. She's thinking someone was fighting over the keys, and that's how the keychain got separated from the keys. Then it got my mind going. That could be a story that was told to Lindsay. I tried to take the keys from her.
Yeah, but that still wouldn't explain why they were missing.
No.
Assuming that they were missing. That was a rumor, nothing confirmed. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of firsthand knowledge.
Well, I mean, it's on the whiteboard. On the whiteboard, it describes her keychain. It doesn't say, look for the black hoodie, look for the white hoodie, we're looking for the belt, we're looking for the necklaces, we're looking for the belly button ring. Here's a description of the keychain. I would love to know what that meeting was all about. If you could, this is what her keychain looks like. There obviously, before the whiteboard was written up, there had to have been some kind of conversation, well, of what to put on there. I want to know how it was decided to report to Sammy and not law enforcement. I'd like to know how it was decided to report to Sammy and not her own parents. I would like to know how it was decided to report to Sammy and not get medical attention if you come across Kylie. I would like to know how it was decided to report to Sammy and not her grandparents, or really anyone except Sammy. I really would like to know that.
Well, let us not forget, Jagman said the same.
I imagine he's pretty pissed off knowing that his name wasn't on the whiteboard. I bet that was a big kick in the nuts. Report to Sammy. Don't tell Jagger anything. Report to Sammy.
But yeah, because, you know, the sheriff asked him to filter through tips.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And puts it right out there on Instagram. I'm filtering through tips. Well, we both are. Me and the sheriff. Working side by side. Best friends forever. Goodness. I'll never get over that. I will never get over that. Jill Case said, which lie is it? Did Kylie really coherently text her mom? Then hit the water within 5 minutes or within an hour, whatever? Or was she shit-faced and someone other than Kylie sent that late night text? Which lie is it? No one drunk off their ass that would have an accident like that would think to be responsible and say, hey, I'll be home in an hour. You're not computing time if you're that messed up. You're not being responsible. Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
No, I was just agreeing. I've been there and done that. And you're falling down, incapacitatedly drunk. You're not thinking about anything other than what's in front of you at that moment.
No. Mm-mm. So I like the way she phrased that. Which lie is it? Oh, by the way, if I show, excuse me, if I showcase your after show comment, send me an email afterwards. You'll know why. Who's knocking on the door? Sleuthy, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. Just going through a bunch of notes and everything like that for the show. I was a little bit behind, but I think I'm getting caught up. So explain to me what you make of, because Jay and I we've been going back and forth like ping pong for weeks over the whiteboard. What do you make out of the whole report to Sammy?
You know, I I literally can't think of any explanation as to why, if police were aware of that, which they'd have to be, if they were present at the searches, like they say they were, they had to have seen the whiteboard. They were sitting right behind her in the meeting when she was talking about the teens and come and tell us, and we won't say who you are and this and that.
Mhm.
So, you know, even if they thought that she had run away, I still don't see how that would be acceptable protocol. But the fact that they called in the FBI by saying that they were treating her case as an abduction just because they had not found her vehicle, like that was the point of saying that. They said that so that FBI would bring their resources. So to have said that, you've now turned it into a potential criminal matter. It being a criminal matter, I cannot wrap my head around someone not putting a stop to her gathering information from anyone or things,
No.
evidence.
Okay, so what you just said, and I honestly didn't even put that together, but think about that, everyone. Think about that. So you have a criminal matter. She could have possibly been abducted. You've got the FBI. JPL said Homeland Security was there. I think I have the picture somewhere. JPL took a picture. It was like a RV looking thing. It said Office of the Governor. They had all kinds of resources there. Yet you have this whiteboard. Download the All Trails app. If basically if you come across Kylie, report it to Sammy, not the federal effing agents that are there, not any of the search and rescue people that have tents set up everywhere. God forbid you tell her dad anything. Don't tell, report it to Sammy.
Pull it up and just be sure, because I almost want to say that when I noticed that, I was like, so if you see Kylie or her vehicle, two things that potentially someone in a criminal um, investigation that would be aware of what happened to her would know they wouldn't be found. You can report that to the police, but anything and everything else that you find that would be evidence or pictures or anything like that was going to one of the people that last saw her.
It says download All Trails free app. Keep list of your movements. Start, stop, highway, neighborhood, trails. Report to Sammy if any sign found.
Hmm.
So if you see a shoe, let Sammy know.
I also would love to know why that says All Trails, because that's not even the app that they were using. And I downloaded All Trails, and literally there was no activity in All Trails anywhere near
Yeah,
there. They were
it
searching.
was Caltopo, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And even there, I was looking into the day by day things that were going on there.
Mhm.
And what's really interesting is there's like no tracks through the party site. Like, people weren't tracking going through the party site. And really, I want to say the only person that I saw that had gone even to the water was that uh, Check It TV guy. And what I also find interesting is in the press conferences they asked Sam Brown, since he was in charge of the search, something about where they, because people were like, we need some type of direction. If we go to the actual search and rescue people and we say, where should we go? Everybody just keeps saying everywhere. And he specifically said that they were not going to share their search maps where they're searching, because they don't want anyone to look at it and then say, well, if the actual police and their search and rescue were there, then we don't need to look. I would like to see their mapping of their search and rescue, because I have a feeling much of this was left up to people that don't really know.
Like Sammy.
Yeah. Well, and if you so let me ask you this: what if these friends actually searched?
I
She didn't search. She
no,
she stayed at the community center, and so did Megs.
no, none of them searched. So you
Why?
You're really telling me that Jagger, Kate, and whoever was with them thought they were going to find Kylie at the Kentucky Fried Chicken parking lot in Reno? Hell no. They all knew what was going on. But this, report to Sammy if any sign found. That and the description of the keychain. Now, what you said just obviously sounded off 1,000 bells. I feel like I just woke up out of an 80-year coma hearing that. Because, yeah, think about it. You've got, I can't even remember at the time how many agents were there. FBI agents. Homeland Security was checking things out. JPL was there. I'd be scared of JPL. You had, I mean, not to even mention, of course, you have the sheriff's office there. Report to Sammy if any sign found.
They were asked about that, and I, I believe on Twitter, and their response to it was that she's just making, that's her right. She has the right to free. They can't police what she's saying before she makes a statement to the public. But since it continued, it's not like they went back and said, listen, you said this at such a place and we can't have that. You can't do that. Please don't say it anymore. So they were aware and they allowed it. Why? Yeah, I can't understand why.
Yeah. In any other investigation, it would be interfering with the investigation. I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that.
I mean, it has nothing.
This investigation 100% was interfered with. Hands down, it definitely was. And it took law enforcement till I'd say Wednesday or Thursday of the week that Kylie went missing to start clapping back on social media and saying things like social media lies, you're being deceived, that is false. And I'm like, okay, keyboard warrior, can you address this in one of your meetings? When we see this on KRCA, or however you say it, or the station out of Reno, the station out of the Bay, can you say it on there so the people in the back can hear you say, these kids are not running the show?
Well, I mean, you have to. So it is somebody's place to step in and stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So my question isn't so much why is she doing that, right? Because I can go both ways. She either, was really concerned about her friend, so she was overdoing it because she was very upset and concerned, or she had something to do with it and she wanted to know every single piece of everything that came through, all the evidence, this and that. Like either way, I can see it. What I can't
Right.
see and what needs an explanation is the people who are older than her, all of the adults that surrounded her, and law enforcement that surrounded her from 16 agencies, and no one made it stop.
Seems
Let me
to
just point out, Sleuthy, that according to Kate, her closer friend, her and Sammy were not close. So those actions, to me, reek of feeling responsible.
Sure. Well, and you know, you also have to remember just little bits of stuff. Like for instance, in the community meetings, Sammy was saying that they got so much information and so much evidence and so many pictures and so many videos, hundreds and hundreds, people of pictures of people taking pictures. And then there'll be a press conference the next day, the day after that, and the day after that, and they're
Mm-hmm.
saying we need more information. We don't know how to proceed without information. Then articles start going out saying that they've hit a wall because people that were at the party won't talk to them. So, either they're lying or the information wasn't being given to them that was being obtained. That's a problem.
huge. Huge. Now, okay, now you already heard my opinion on it. Do you think that this investigation was curtailed, interfered with by the kids? It's just
Oh,
a
at a
conversation.
minimum. Oh, at a minimum by the kids. A minimum.
Mhm. What about you, Jay?
100%.
Chat, everybody in chat, do you think that the kids could have possibly hindered a police investigation? How did the FBI not know about the teen to teen meetings? How did the FBI not know that it was on a whiteboard outside of mom's RV, that said any sign of, they're not talking about a meteor shower. We're not stargazing. They were talking about Kylie. Any sign of, report to Sammy. What the hell is going on? And I have to preface this and let everybody know. I support my law enforcement in this town. I back the blue. I'm done making excuses for the ones in this case.
Yeah.
I've tried and tried and tried to see what's going on, what kind of funky tactic they're using. I just can't with this. This is ridiculous.
I feel the same way. And FBI can't, as far as they cannot deny any knowledge of that whatsoever, because they're literally on camera. They have an agent sitting with the local police agencies right behind Sammy when she's talking about it. So they can't say, and they can step in. I don't know to what extent it has to get to before they do decide to step in, but they were really just there to assist. So it would really have to be really, really bad, and they'd have to have a lot of information.
Right, because the case wasn't theirs. So I shouldn't even bring the FBI into it per se. She wasn't abducted. She hadn't been taken over state lines. We know what happened. We know what happened to her. Well, we don't know the cause of death. We know where they found her. Still, at that time, Placer County was holding the ball, and these are their kids. These are the kids of their community. Nothing's going to embarrass you more than your own kid, okay?
Right. And when I talk about interference, to me, it just wasn't the kids, because you remember in the very beginning, I can't pinpoint the date of this right now, but excuse me, Angela Masalam coming out and saying we've had reports of grown adults telling these kids not to talk. Therefore, adults were involved as well.
She did.
But that tune changed in an instant from that day to like the next, when she said, oh, well, we got that taken care of.
Well, it seems to me like the first press conference, the first community meeting, they were kind of like, the kids. Then when it got out of hand and they were getting called out left and right on Twitter, then it became, there's only one team. It's just us. We're running the show. No, you absolutely do not call tips into Sammy. That is absolutely false. But it was like how long it took them to put everyone in their place and say, no, we're running the show. But still, you had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and you had 4 days of them saying that they were taking tips. And the teen-to-teen meeting is so stupid. So stupid.
I mean, they knew what they were trying to collect, right? Like the police knew what the intention of these teen-to-teens were. And so they like willingly allowed them to continue, knowing that she was getting information. Like, I, under no circumstances would I trust anyone. I don't care if she was my child's best friend, or if she, was the most trustworthy person I thought I had ever met. I can't imagine in what world they would assume that she would be bringing all information back to them after she literally said she would take people's names to jail and not give them away.
Exactly.
Yeah, I put that up this morning. Let's go through that real quick. Do you have time, Sleuth?
Yeah, I'm good.
Do you have time, Jay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because when I see also the difference of how the dad was received, I'm sorry, but I'm seeing a difference. And how Sammy was received, it really upsets me. Am I being crazy here? Did anybody else notice a difference between Dad's reception and Sammy's?
You mean reception by the others in the community?
Well, in the room, I guess.
The rounds of applause and cheers, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This man is pleading for his daughter. He's trying to give a wake-up call, and it's kind of a... Then here comes Sammy saying she'll go to jail if she's told something illegal. And it's as if the Oscars erupted. It was insane. Insane. Oh, come You have to try to look at the closed captions as much as possible because his microphone is not very good. It doesn't straighten up until, well, we see Sammy and the woman that introduces her.
This is your kids. These are the parties your kids are going to. We need answers, and you need answers, because when your kids become 16, where are they going to go? My daughter's a straight A student. On her way to UC Santa Cruz, she's at 16. She's 16 going to college, This is tough. This isn't supposed to happen here, We need answers. Remember, Kylie is your child too, so please, anything.
I don't care who you are, that is heartbreaking. He's in front of all, and God only knows what kind of shitty things have been said about him because we know mom has no time for him. Okay. And I think this is the meeting where he would not talk to the kids that tried to approach him. When he was approached about the GoFundMe, he sloughed it off. He said, I don't know anything about that. I have nothing to do with it. I don't even know what it's for. And there he is in front of everybody. I'm pleading. My daughter's 16. She graduated high school. She's getting ready to go to college.
And I want to say before you keep going is that I think maybe what the difference is in how they're received might be because his speech to people was more of an accountability speech, trying to hold the people there and then the teenagers and everyone else that was there accountable and say that they have to be responsible and step forward and say what happened. And whereas when she went up, it was less about accountability and more about protection, which seems to be what everybody is interested in.
Oh, I think that is it in a nutshell. When he's up there saying, these are the parties your kids are going to, this could wind up being your child, basically, is what he's trying to say. We need answers. We need answers. So it's kind of a, yeah, I'm there for you, buddy. I know. And then we get something totally different and no support from Kylie's mom. How bad do you have to hate the man for him to be up there pouring out his heart, begging for answers for your child too? And you go up and you give a big old hug to Sammy?
I wanted to bring that up. Someone had commented on my video about it, and I had thought it, but I never really verbalized it until that person commented and said that. And I was like, you know what? I'm not the only person that it felt very intimate.
Weird.
It was intimate and something I would have expected maybe for her to have done for him. I have goosebumps. It's weird.
You're going to get goosebumps again, and you're going to hear me bitching and yelling. PJ's Not So Secret Diary, thank you for the super sticker. Said, I just want to state what I saw very early on. Kylie went by Neiman, and then at some point changed it to Rodney on socials. See, and what I saw on her Instagram, I saw Kylie Rodney. I'm sensing, again, this is just speculation and conversation, some parental alienation with dad. You can't tell me dad didn't want answers. Dad doesn't love his daughter. Dad's probably not just in crumbles now, hoping that, probably had some hope that once she's an adult, mom's not in the middle anymore and he can have a real relationship with his daughter. That's what a lot of parents that are alienated go through. There's an Instagram post. I've got it in my phone because I found it odd. It says Kylie Rodney. She's talking about a picture of herself when she was younger, and she's talking about her appearance. It says Kylie Rodney. It has her comment. A couple of people say something, oh, you're so cute, stuff like that. Her mother comes in and puts Kylie And it's not hyperlinked. So you could see she physically typed it in, corrected the last name, Kylie Neiman. And then, of course, compliments how cute she is. That's a dangerous thing to do to a child when you tell them there's something wrong with their God-given last name. I thought that was really, really bad. Just me.
I mean, it can even be, you can get to the point with stuff like that in divorce to where it's abusive. I mean, if you'll do, I don't know. I don't, the thought of my son sharing a last, would I prefer it be different? Sure. But like, I would never, there would be no reason to change his last name other than to be
Vindictive.
hurtful. Yeah. Like facetious and stuff like that.
Every situation is different. Dad could have been the biggest bastard the world's ever seen when, say, Kylie was 1 or 2 years old. I don't know. So I really shouldn't even comment on it. I'm just seeing what I see. And I could do a whole show on parental alienation. No, it's never happened to me. I know people it's happened to. And it honestly should be a crime. It really should.
Me and my brother have different fathers, and they are like horrendous people. But we learned that when we grew up, and that's also a possibility here. So when we got older, we went to my mom and said that we wanted to see them, and up until that point, my mom, no matter what, didn't say anything bad about them. Didn't discourage us from when we started asking questions. And I'm grateful for that. The conclusions we came to were our own. So I agree with you. I think it doesn't do any good. There's nothing productive that comes from doing that to any children.
Using the children to hurt the other. You did this to me. Now I know where to hit you, type of thing. And like I said, it would be impossible to make it a crime because every situation's so different. You know what I mean? Everyone knows how to put on their best Sunday face.
Oh yeah, but they tell you not to do that. I mean, they specifically, when I was getting my divorce, like that was specifically a thing that was mentioned multiple, like that was not to be done. So I guess they're more aware now, but it does happen.
I just thought it was odd that the name that Kylie chose to use on her Instagram was Kylie Rodney. That's the name that's been blasted all over the world. And her mother, everybody else, Kylie Rodney, they're replying to her so you can see. But then her mother, like, you can see it's not a separate account. She's not replying to another account. She's replying on that thread that corrects the last name. I just thought that was a little out there for me.
Well, I know that if someone previously, if her name was originally that and then she changed it to Rodney, would it still be hyperlinked?
I don't know how that works because I don't really do too much with Instagram. I know that everybody else replying to her, it showed up Kylie Rodney, except that one, and everybody else's you could tell was hyperlinked because if you hit it, it takes you right back to her page. But mom's is typed in.
Yeah, I think it was just her refusing to say Rodney as her last name. Her comment.
Let me find it. I'll email it to you. Yeah, I've got it right here. Well, I need to put the show back on. Guys,
I was gonna say, go ahead. I think I'm like stalling because I don't want to watch this part.
Oh, girl, we got you. We're all in here together because this makes me so mad and it's creepy. And I'm gonna get roasted for this. It looks like they're girlfriends. It's weird.
I agree. I do agree with you.
I know I'm gonna get roasted for this. It's okay. It looks just extremely inappropriate. For one, report to Sammy should have never happened. Sammy is a stranger. It was Mag's sister that busted all that open. I'd say just a few days into all this, she was in a Facebook group and she said, Mags is Kylie's best friend. Sammy's a new acquaintance. Nobody really knows her.
Yeah, I want to know how many times she saw Sammy prior to this happening. And also why, when Venmo started getting brought up, and I've said this to Jay like multiple times, like, why did that August 7th payment from the lodge to Sammy disappear?
I also want to know why there was any exchange. Here we go. We got Venmos again, guys. We've been talking about Venmos a lot. I also want to know why there was any exchange between the lodge and Sammy on the 7th. It says pizza. I don't know what the amount is. I don't remember seeing an amount on there. When it was also said that the pizza place donated, not discounted, those are two very different words, donated pizza. We had all the coffee people that donated. No one said, all right, look, I'll just charge you for what the dough and sauce cost me. No, they donated all that pizza.
Right.
Nobody would do that. Nobody'd say, well, had to have this water brought in from New York. That's the reason the pizza's so good. No, they donated the damn pizza. So why was Sammy paid for freaking pizza?
Mm-hmm.
Makes me so mad.
I'm just coming to you from the civilian front, from the team highway that's been working over there at the base camp since Sunday. Thank you everyone for all the work that you've been doing and all your volunteer services. Thank you all. Thank you. I come to you not as a good friend of the family. I come to you as a second-hand friend of somebody.
Okay, guys, help me because I've watched this a million times for the last, I can't tell you how many weeks now. A good friend of somebody, a secondhand friend. What the hell does that even mean?
What is it?
Secondhand friend? I never caught that.
What's a secondhand friend?
Neither did I.
I better have no secondhand friends.
I mean, to me, it sounds exactly like what it is, a friend of a friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, we got a lot of friends of acquaintances that, well, get to take the mic and get sightings of Kylie reported to.
I come to you not as a good friend of the family. I come to you as a second-hand friend of somebody.
Who's the secondhand friend of somebody? See, this is driving me insane. Who are we not mentioning that we're talking about?
Was she not referring to Sammy?
Was she referring to herself? That's the Truckee Thursdays lady, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
And she's the one that did the country for Kylie and stuff like that. I mean, maybe she's the second. Would you call yourself a secondhand friend?
Not if I was an adult.
What the hell does this mean? I gotta Google secondhand friend. God damn.
If that makes sense, decipher that.
She said, if that makes sense, she said, decipher that. Now on the screen it says decide for that. She said, decipher that, if that makes sense. What kind of code do we have going on? You get some chuckles out there. Do people know what she's talking about? Or these kind of, wish she wouldn't have said that type of chuckles? Mm.
Reality is the way this community has come together. It is amazing, and I want you to know that we are going to be there every day from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. working and searching and answering questions and holding your hand while you are holding our hands. This is about hope. This is about that we keep moving forward, because one thing we know is when we sit and we are idle, what happens? Unless you're reading and meditating, what happens? We get lost. So please, If you're like, I don't know what I can do, come down and say hi. Let us know that you're thinking of us. Do the social media pieces. Flyering, yes, we're going to have them in Spanish. Come.
She said, do the social media pieces. Now, this is secondhand friend, who's a friend of a friend, got the mic, talking to the community. She says, do the social media pieces.
Now, is this lady the lady that's also a psychologist, or am I confusing her with someone else?
People are saying it's Sammy's mom. I don't know who this is. I don't think it's Sammy's mom, though.
No, it's not Sammy's mom, but it's, well, I don't know if it's Sammy's mom. It could be, but it's not the mental health lady.
No? Okay.
Yeah, short, dark hair.
That's right.
Okay, everybody's Googling secondhand friend. They're like, it means a friend of a friend. Okay, goofball, then just say I'm a friend of a friend, or don't say anything at all, because you look weird as hell by even trying to put a label on yourself. Just introduce freaking Sammy and forget it. Why does Sammy need an introduction anyway?
That's exactly what I was just thinking, is why does someone have to come up and introduce her?
Nobody introduced Dad. They were just like, there's the mic, go up there and talk, say what you want to say. We don't give a shit. But we have to have a red carpet for Sammy?
It's weird. The whole thing's weird.
God.
She doesn't need a hype man. She did this exact thing, except Sammy didn't speak, I don't believe, but she did this exact thing at Truckee Thursdays when they did the Country for Kylie. And she held their hands. It was Sammy, and it was a row of 4 girls. You've seen that, right?
Yep.
Where they're like laughing and whispering, and she's talking about Kylie.
Is that the one where Sammy took the mic for a minute and then she gave it away because she said she just didn't mean to get famous off of this?
Oh, I don't know. This was way back. This was way back when they did the concert. This is before she was found.
Okay, this is before the concert then. Okay, a different day. Sammy had a lot going on, and it's very hard for me to keep up with her social season. She's had a lot going on. Now I'm trying to figure out which one it is. I'm going to go crazy. All right, hang on.
I've heard about that. I've heard about that, but this particular one, they're talking about how she's like, Kylie would love to hear this and be having fun with her friends, and it just, the whole speech was really weird. I, not for nothing, but every time I've heard anybody speak like this, it very much feels like they're talking about someone that has already passed, as opposed to someone who's missing. Like, even when they send, what's your message for Kylie? It's very much, or what is Kylie like? Like, I don't know. It just feels very much like we're talking about someone who's already been deceased.
You're right. And it was that way with the Truckee Thursday and the Country for Kylie as well.
Yeah, definitely. Then they were like, she would have loved this. She would be dancing.
Everything was past tense.
Yeah, it felt like the celebration of life.
Queen of Hearts said on Tony's channel, him and Xana, she says, they looked up SOs in the Truckee area and said, oh yeah, there's not that many at all. Well, there's many in every community. I remember hearing about that. That is so creepy. That is so weird. I'm not surprised. By the way, Sleuthy, I don't know how you got through having to talk to him. Why did he take down his interviews with Sammy?
Did he?
Oh, he did.
Since when? This had to have been since like the other day, like a couple days ago.
They're gone, girlfriend. They're gone.
Well, I have a transfer for anybody that needs it, but that's unreal. I always get weird about people deleting stuff, because I think deleting things looks way worse than whatever it is that you're getting rid of.
Yeah, hang it out there.
Yep.
I mean, the truth can be explained. Mistakes can be explained. We all make them. The people that won't take no for an answer are like, no, you screwed up. You screwed up. You don't want those people around you anyway. But no, he took them down. Now, I don't believe for 1 minute law enforcement told him to take it down. I don't. Because they've been up for too long. Why is Tony taking down the interviews with Sammy? That was his crowning achievement, right?
I mean, if he's taking down old videos to make room for new videos, there's more older videos than that.
He doesn't exactly have stellar work. I would have left the Sammy stuff up as opposed to the other stuff. If he doesn't have money for recording hours or something, I get it. But
I'm
not
sure there were more views on that video than any others.
That's what I was going to say. That's why people keep coming back there, is they're rewatching those videos. You know what I mean? He's got them posted twice. People are going back and looking at it now that they're not there. That's weird. And didn't he just announce doing a new one with her?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Did he take them down? Because I'm double checking right now, so I don't look like an idiot. It's happened before, so hang on. I gotta go to the right thing. He was teasing everybody. Okay, he's got Kylie Rodney found. Kylie Rodney missing. Stuff about Ryan Upchurch. Submit your tips. Day 6 search. And that's it. That's weird.
They're gone.
Unless it's just hidden from me.
Are you just looking on that first page, or did you go to videos?
I went to videos.
Huh. That is odd.
Side note, my mom is redoing her kitchen because the tenants in her house flooded her house. And anyway, she's the insurance is giving her a whole lot of money to redo the house. And she says that they're selling stoves now with air fryers built in.
I have to have one of those. There was a guy that used to come on panel quite a bit, and he had gotten one. That would change my life. My air fryer's out on my countertop all the time.
Yeah, I would definitely.
They're saying it's not gone. They're saying it's not gone, guys. I just didn't see it. They're saying it's not gone. Yeah, Marco, I heard about that. I just assumed he took it down because he's been teasing and promising people he's getting ready to do a round 2 with Sammy. I just think it's odd that he's so confident that he can get Sammy back on his show. And I think it's odd that he's been asked many times, how did you come across Sammy? Now, let's face it, she's not the Princess Diana interview, but it is a common curiosity. How did you get Sammy on the show? How? And he says he's just tired of answering the question. What did he say to you, Sleuthy?
He said, I've answered this question over and over and over and over, and I just don't feel like answering it again. If you go back and look, you'll be able to find the answer. But I've answered that so many times, I don't feel like answering it again. Not a single soul has found out or knows how he got that interview. So wherever he answered it a million times must be wherever the same place that Sammy had all these hundreds and thousands of pictures and videos.
Yet law enforcement said no, there's none. There's none. Jetta's in. Jetta made it.
Fire that. Fire in where it's been fired before. Maybe you saw it over here, but we didn't see it over there. Maybe it's only two blocks away and we can fire. We have people going all over the area, beyond Truckee, beyond Tahoe. We can do it again. Searching, that app that we have now, amazing, right? How many great gals and guys that have been on their motorcycles, on their feet and walking through the forest and the trails and looking for something that lets us know that Kylie is coming home, right? That's what we're doing. Once, a million times is not too much to travel those roads. We have to travel lots of roads to find truth, and so let's find the truth. Let's find Kylie.
Look at them standing for her.
Say that tongue twister, team.
All All right, let's elaborate on that. And I know I've said it about a million times, and some people used to get really, really mad about this conversation. It seems like we all sort of have a happy medium now. I'm going to use the word universe. I'm sorry, nowhere in the universe does any of this make sense. And no, I'm not picking on the whole town. I'm not picking on the whole community, because I don't think that, well, it's like the Summer Wells case, East Tennessee. Don and Candace Grandis, these people, don't even get me started. But it's not the whole side of the state. It's not all of East Tennessee. But I do want to know why. Look at her, hands on her hips. She's grinning ear to ear. Look at that shit-eating grin. There is nothing fun about your friend. Well, we know what happened. We know where Kylie was. She wasn't alive. Why are we rolling out the red carpet and making this girl a hero? Why? Was she known well around town before? Was she, the homecoming queen? I mean, what's going on that was she Miss Truckee? Was she going off to be Miss California? I'm trying to figure out what people say. Well, she just basically elected herself. Why did everybody go along with it? Can anybody weigh in on that?
I don't have any excuse. And those two standing for her when she was coming up there was weird to me. I don't know. I don't know who is she? You would have to, the only way that this would make any sense to me whatsoever is, again, if I go back to my theory about, if there was some type of like greater force that people were afraid of that was actually keeping everyone quiet, that it would have to be someone above all of them, above all the adults, the kids, the police. And their behavior towards her would only make sense if she was connected to whatever that force was. But other than that, this girl that literally left her friend because she was too drunk to drive her home physically, but she didn't really care how she was going to get herself home. And just the lies, and didn't check on her or anything like that. I can't imagine why anyone would be acting this way. This is the most bizarre behavior I've seen from a town, an entire town, ever.
At least the people sitting in that building, I can't speak for the entire town, but I mean, to give this girl a round of applause and such an ovation, unless they were all under the assumption that she is her BFF. This is her best friend.
And I just...
We lost Sleuthy.
I was wondering if it was just me.
Nope.
What about now?
You're better now, girl.
So
we lost her. Also, I don't know, a couple of you caught it. This woman calls her Kylie. Now, I get mad sometimes. I get confused on names, especially when I'm rushing through my sentences. I mean, I called the hurricane earlier the wrong name. I said Hurricane Ivan. However, when you are talking to an entire community about a missing girl, Kylie Rodney, do not refer to Sammy as Kylie. That is beyond disrespectful. If I was her mom and dad, I'd have been like, now hang on. We would have had a Will Smith moment. Get my daughter's name out of your mouth. This girl walking up here did not graduate from high school at 16. She's not on her way to college at 16. She does not have straight A's. Her name is Sammy. We need to correct that right now.
Find Kylie. We have a team. We have a team. Say that tongue twister. Team. There are 5 significant teams that have been working on this case. They have been doing the social media.
Okay, now right here is where it gets really weird. She's talking about the teen team. We have 5 significant teens that are going to be taking information from your children, the people in the audience. So you're going to deliver your children to these 5 significant teens to tell them what happened at that party that led to the disappearance of Kylie Rodney. While this is going on and she's talking about the teen to teen meeting and the group of significant teens that are on this team, Kylie's mother goes up, walks up behind Sammy, as you can see on the screen, embraces her, kisses her on the cheek, and is whispering in her ear. Is this encouragement? I don't know. You can do this. Don't be scared of talking in front of all these people. I don't know.
But she didn't say anything important. There was nothing to be scared about.
What could this embrace be about? Jay, are you throwing up? What's going on? You're not saying
I'm
anything.
here. I'm here. I just it's dumbfounding. I don't know. Don't know what she would say. Like, is she threatening her? Probably not.
No.
Is she telling her that she loves her? Probably in some kind of way. I mean, not to get political, it reminds me of Joe Biden sniffing a little girl's hair.
That's what I thought too. Like she's sniffing her hair or something. I'm like, what am I watching here?
That's exactly it. That is the weird vibes I'm getting, is Joe Biden sniffing little girls' hairs. What on earth?
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I think there was a comment in the chat that somebody was trying to ask, but I missed it. One of the mods pointed it out. If you can look it up, I don't know. He wasn't specific on what he was asking.
Uh-oh. I was on another screen.
Blackwing Paranormal.
Let me look. I gotta scroll up. I'm scrolling. I see a lot of inappropriate, awkward, odd. Well, I missed it.
Yeah, I never saw the second comment. He just said that he wanted to comment.
Well, comment away. Here, let me put the link up. Hang on.
Yeah, and a couple other people touched on the fact that she called Sammy Kylie, and so did American Dream Chaser. Sometimes I feel like I get vibes of that movie Get Out.
Freaks me out, man. It just freaks me out. I mean, in every case, there's always an odd duck, okay? There's always an odd one. I'm gonna be safe in saying Sammy's the odd one here. Everything Sammy does causes pause. You go, what? What is she talking about? Had Kylie been driving? What is she talking about? I drank out of everything she drank out of and she seemed fine. Yet in the same paragraph says, I was going to get a ride from her, but she was too messed up. You know, we have all that going on. Everything causes pause.
Yeah, the story she's putting out is that she only drank. Her drinks were safe. They didn't have any drugs in them. And that she thinks that some stranger outside of that town, unbeknownst to them, could have been anybody in the world, came and offered to drive her home and then didn't drive her home.
That's exactly what she said. And then when she was asked, what do you think happened to Kylie? She said she believed she had been trafficked. She was halfway around the world by now.
She said, I believe the police believe, the locals believe, we all believe that somebody else had to have been involved in this. Somebody had to have, there had to have been another person involved in this, which is another reason why when we find out that she's at the bottom of the lake in her vehicle, I don't know where they made the jump from one to the other, to insisting for weeks that someone had something to do with it and she would never be in the lake, and they searched the lake and she's definitely not there, and she would never drive drunk and she would never drive that way. She knows the right way. To now that's exactly what she did, and everybody stopped talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Shantae, I see you backstage. I see you, so you have to turn your camera off and then I'll put you up. Not that I think you're going to do anything, but if I allow one, then the next one comes in, and next thing you know, we have a fire hose situation.
Yeah, no, I got, yeah.
You don't have a
Had
fire
that on another stream last night, actually. No.
Hey, nice to meet you. You've never been up here before. What you got for me?
I have not been on. This is actually the first time that I've ever caught you. First time I've seen one of your streams so far. Really enjoying it. And I seen Sleuthy on another channel last night. Here's my thought. I think Sammy is just, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, I think she's just an attention whore. I think she put herself front and center because she wanted to be famous. She wanted the publicity, but also possibly to find out what they knew, because the roadside assistance guy, I don't know if he really seen her. I think Sammy may have had it set up. I think that Mags got her there and it was a setup. I think Sammy knows what happened, but I don't think Sammy did it.
A lot of people say the same thing, that basically she just really enjoys the attention and everything. And no, we're not accusing Sammy of anything. If this was truly a I love the attention, pick me, pick me, pick me, then why do these stories change? That would be my question. Why do these stories change? Why would you say in one breath, I drank out of everything she drank out of and she seemed fine to me? Yet then you say, which is really what got the whole thing blown up. If you really want to know the truth, this is what really got it going. She's a smart girl. I knew she'd figure something out. I wasn't going to take a ride from her. She was way too drunk.
Yeah, the same paragraph. It went from she's a smart girl, she wouldn't drink and drive, and we were drinking that same stuff, to she was so intoxicated she could barely walk or talk, and I got a ride home with someone else. But we've never found out who she got a ride home from either,
or how she got on Tony's channel.
Right?
Has anybody ever found out? According to Tony, he's tired of answering the question. Well, then I would be tired of hearing the answer. I've never heard it once. How did she get on Tony's channel? How did she get home? She's tired of answering that question too. Well,
but no one's ever heard the answer.
I've got some extra energy today. Go ahead and tell me again. I guess I missed it the other 500 million times. Has anybody heard this?
No. And I have watched almost every stream that I could find on the Kylie Rodney case. I have dove myself very deep into it, and I've never heard him answer.
Sleuthy, have you ever heard Tony?
Never heard her answer.
How he got this meeting with Sammy?
No.
And I'll tell you why you've never heard it. It's because nobody's ever asked, at least not on live.
I did. Did old Xana?
People's asked.
Did old Xana not ask him that one day? And he said he didn't want to talk about that? I don't know. Elizabeth's never.
I don't know.
All I know is by the time I asked, he had already been asked and answered 100 times, and he didn't feel like answering again. It was exhausting. I said I didn't realize it was such a complicated answer that it would tire you. Just one of those things. I just got it.
Well, these famous people, they just get really tired. When you're that famous and you just keep getting asked the same thing over and over, It just really eats at your ass after a while. By the way, Dr. Latina is up here. Let's all give a warm welcome to Dr. Latina too. Nice to meet you and finally get to talk to you, Dr. Latina.
Hi there. Hopefully this time the thing won't freeze.
Did you guys all? Jay was up here with me. Dr. Latina was trying to come up on panel, and next thing you know, the whole chat was full of everybody. This was a week ago saying it's buffering, it's buffering, it's buffering. So we shut down the whole show, and I thought, what the hell is going on here? Is it my Wi-Fi? What's going on? But it was happening to everybody. So I went and I looked at different people that were live. People that gardening, the people that put crafts together out of stuff from Dollar Tree, the whole 9 yards. Everybody was buffering.
Well, this case is very bizarre, and then I've said it's sort of like unpeeling layers of onion. And the more you peel, the more you cry because it is so very bizarre. It is absolutely bizarre. I don't even know where to start. I guess one thing is that in my 30 years, as a practicing physician, I've never seen, even when couples are divorced and there has been bad blood between them, when there is a child that's in crisis, the spouses or ex-lovers, whatever they were to that child, have invariably come together and supported one another, and they put aside their differences. And I find, for me, the most remarkable aspect, or one of the most remarkable aspects of this case, is how in parallel the father of Kylie and the maternal grandfather are walking one journey to find her, and then the mother and her, let's call it her cohort, I don't want to even call it a cult, just her community, let's call it that, are walking a completely separate parallel journey, and ne'er the twains shall meet. I mean, I just find that not only remarkable, frankly outrageous. And I don't know, short of the father having done something egregiously illegal,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why that mother so clearly pushes him away from.
Do you think it's parental alienation? What do you think it is? Because we've talked about this on this show
Yes.
many times, that you see in so many cases where there's a missing child and mom and dad put it all to the side, whether you're
Right.
talking about Kyron Horman, you're talking about Gannon, mom and dad come together as a united
Right.
to find their baby. And in this case, I mean, she's still whipping him like a dog.
Exactly. No, I think that this is just an observation, an impression. I've never met these people, but my impression is that the mother is super duper controlling as a person. And I think that until now, she's probably done what she's wanted to do. And I'm sure you all have heard of that, what's called free range parenting, which is like you have a chicken and they go free range and you don't keep them in the barn or whatever. And I really sense that, one narrative that keeps being said is even the father, she was 16, she's straight A student, she was going to college, she blah, 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 etc. And I mean, while that is impressive in some measure, I honestly know many people that have gone to college even at 15 on a full scholarship. So it's not like this was a 1 in a million situation. And I know when people go missing, people always sort of make somebody out to be, there was nothing the matter, this was just, everything was perfect, right, with this child. But I see, from what I can glean from all the videos of Kylie, for me as a parent of two just finished being teenage daughters, I see that the mother really was a free range parent. She allowed her child to really do what she wanted, and that was a choice the mother made. And I know I'm sounding very judgmental, but I mean, believe me, I've made my horrible mistakes as a parent, and I have had to suffer consequences of things that I've allowed my children to do or didn't pay enough attention to or whatever. So none of us is perfect, but this mother has, you know, there are two things that stick out, and then I'll hush. From the beginning, this isn't helping the case, by the way. I'm just giving you my impression.
No. We can have a conversation. There's nothing wrong with that. You're going off of your observations.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't really
different styles of parenting. And when you see like two parents that don't, especially in a case like this, we see a parent's worst nightmare. Okay. Your child is missing. The wheels are going. The wheels are going. The worst is out there. It's a possibility that you may have to deal with. You would come together as a united front, particularly, well, any case really, but at one point, the whole car is missing. You think she's been abducted. So that's a time to put the different parenting styles to the side and come together. But it's like there's still that axe to grind.
Yeah, it's just to me, so very inappropriate. The two things that have stuck out, I mean, there are many things, but two statements that stuck out to me vis-a-vis the sort of libertine, go with the flow, free range parenting style, is that in one of the first interviews, the mother said, "I know my daughter would not drink and drive." Now she's 16 at this point when the mother was talking. Because last year I asked her to pick up, I'm paraphrasing, I asked Kylie to pick up her younger brother, and she told me, no, I can't because I've been drinking and I don't want to be drinking and driving. And I was so impressed that my daughter knew not to do that. And I thought, well, that is good. But what I thought when the mother said that, and this is going back now, how many weeks ago, 6 weeks or more, I thought, wait, the mother saying that the daughter was drinking at age 15 and you were okay with that, obviously, because you didn't see. For me, I don't know. I think I would not have even told that story had I found out my child was 15 and drinking. I know I'm old fashioned, but I would have had to sit down with my child and say, what the heck is going on? We can't have you at 15 drinking. So
no. And people think I'm some kind of stick in the mud or something. Hey, let me tell you, you don't know me. I'm really not. But here's the thing. You can't put a child on a path. Give them a chance. Don't let them set themselves up for failure at 17, 15, 16, 18. That's not, and I mean, I know there's some people that are like, well, they're going to do it anyway. That's when you got to be mom. That's when you got to be dad and say, oh, hell no.
So I don't know how, if the mother could say that, how then going forward, the narrative was that she was the designated driver. She didn't drink. She didn't party, blah, blah. So that's number one. And then the other thing is that when Jagger and Kate took the news folks around, I'm sure you remember that, to the different parts down towards, what was it, Reno or something.
Oh, and the Kentucky Fried Chicken parking lot?
I don't know what parking lot it was, but all I know is that
Kentucky Fried Chicken right behind him.
Okay, well, there were two clips of that. There was the Kentucky Fried Chicken parking lot thing, and then in another clip of the same interview, but it got split, and sometimes it's not shown. Jagger took them up to a park that overlooked Reno, and the newscaster says this is a park that was a special place. Again, I'm paraphrasing, for Kylie and her boyfriend Jagger to go, and then basically he told the story that one night or one late evening, he and Kylie had gone into the park, and then I guess the park got locked, so they couldn't actually drive out. So they stayed overnight. And that was one of their special times that they had together overnight. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, you were 15 at the time. So how does that go? Or maybe you were just turning 16. I'm so old fashioned, so you have to bear with me. I can't imagine allowing my child to stay overnight at age 15 in a park looking over a city with her boyfriend. I mean, so for me, so let's step back without judgment, I will say. just facts, 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 facts. You have, in terms of victimology, you've got the low risk, the medium risk, and the high risk situation. And I think Mike, I've been on Profiling Evil as a guest multiple times with Mike King, and he talks about what makes a person low versus medium versus high risk. And the narrative up until even while she's at the parties, that she was such a low risk individual, and that her friend or friends abandoned her in this moment. But in what I'm trying to say is that she has not been, that Kylie was not a low risk victim in that category. I think she was thrust multiple times, from what we can see, what has been published over the past couple of years, into a high risk category. And some of those high risk would be being allowed to go with somebody at age 15 or 16 to Reno, stay overnight in a car, that kind of thing. Those kinds of behaviors put anybody, whether they're male, female, whether they're 60, whether they're 16, vulnerable for, criminal, becoming a victim of a crime, etc. So I'm not even pointing to her friends or what happened right now, or was she drinking, was she drugging. But to me, I just like to take the 20,000 foot view and say, let's tell the truth here. This child was not living an off the radar, earthy, crunchy country life, pure and simple as the driven snow, and homeschooled. It's just a false narrative.
And I'm certainly not suggesting that she was on any bad path at all. She was accepted into college at 16 years old. She definitely was way ahead of the curve.
Well, academically, yes, but I'm talking, if you look, I'm just talking victimology and social growth and development as an adolescent. Her brain was no more, her frontal lobe was no more developed at age 16 than any other 16-year-old per se. And the frontal lobe has to do with decision making, impulse control, executive functions, planning ahead, protecting yourself, making good choices, etc. So no, I'm not trying to say she was, everything I'm telling you is she was on the path to.
No, I was actually I was correcting myself. I didn't think that I was saying that she was heading down the wrong path because of the relationship she had with her mother. She obviously was doing great. She, like her dad said, straight A's, accepted into college, graduated high school early. I wonder how many other kids drove out of that party drunk. If we're going to assume there was an accident, a drunk driving accident, is that where you're leaning? Is that what you think happened?
I don't know. I was on a rant just now. I'm sorry, telling you low victim. I guess I'm still caught on the fact that this whole thing is a mess because the whole story didn't start that night, and so I really don't know what happened. All I know is that because it appears to me that whole community, or let's say the sub community with whom Kylie socialized, those parents allowed their children, pretty much free range. So and the police turned their heads, because apparently it's well known that there were underage drinking parties at this sanctuary for years. So this was, and so I guess for me, as a parent and as sadly a physician who has seen literally dozens of young people die from similar situations, from overdoses, from many, 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 many things. This thing, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. No. It doesn't, it's not like here's the climax. It's the culmination of many things, many behaviors. So I don't know what happened to her, but what I do know is that she was hanging with a crowd that, was a go with the flow. And from what I can tell from the memorial, mm-hmm. The mother and the folks, the adults that spoke, obviously think that they're above the law, because the bottom line is that Kylie was on a California provisional driving license with curfew of 11 p.m., not allowed to drive after 11 p.m. until 5 a.m. And on a provisional license, you're not allowed to transport anybody under the age of 25. So obviously, her mom knew that she was the designated driver. That was illegal. And if everybody's doing it, well, good for you. Everybody's doing it, but these things obviously in this community have been tolerated and accepted. And for me, I guess at the end of the day, if I had my daughters in that community, I would say to the police or to law enforcement, you don't have it. Y'all don't have it. And for you, all I know, there's somebody out there that did something to another person's child, and we need to get to the bottom of this. It's not enough just to say, let's move on.
No, that's what I've been saying. Let's just say that she really was that drunk. Nobody tried to get a hold of anyone to get her a ride. Not one person tried to take her keys. That she truly she was that messed up. And she seriously just drove into the lake. Let's say that's what happened. That's what they're proposing. Okay. Jagger says it often. And there are many community members, because they've reached out and they've said they're mad as hell if something doesn't come of just that alone.
Exactly. But from what the mother stated into the camera on that prepared statement is basically, leave us to be. We've got it. We know what we're doing. Well, no, because you're basically saying, we want to protect the teens. And evidently, whatever parents may have allowed their children to drive on a provisional license, or allowed, their children to obtain alcohol or gave alcohol. I don't know. But it's just wrong. That's
Almost
all.
verbatim, she said that. Get a hobby, call your mom, find something more productive to do. Very condescending, very rude.
Exactly. Very condescending. And what I would say is, I don't care that I live on the East Coast in New England. This is part of my hobby, which is the true crime community. And part of the hobby is, no, I have no intention that I, as some silly 60-year-old woman, will ever solve a crime. But I feel, as part of my hobby, so to speak, and as part of my duty as an adult and as a mom and as a physician, is to shine light on these cases and to analyze, what can we as parents, grandparents, whatever, do differently. And I'm going to be honest, my 23-year-old follows this case, and she said to me, I'm so sick of everybody talking about this. She said, let me sum the whole thing up for you. This is my 23-year-old. She said, basically, a parent allowed somebody to drive on their provisional license, which you, mommy, would never have let me do. But that happened. Obviously, kids are going to drink and drug. And so right now, a kid is dead. So they need to get to the bottom of who provided the alcohol, which kids provided the drugs and alcohol, and which parents, allow this to happen. End of story. Like, she distilled it down to that. But the Truckee community doesn't really want to see it that way.
And I don't know that it's the whole community. I don't want to encompass
No,
an entire town. But what we're seeing, which is a certain clique of people, want this to go away. I hope they don't go back to business as usual. From what I'm seeing from Sammy, we still have high-risk behavior going on. Sammy's not 21. Sammy shouldn't be drinking to excess. Not that anyone should. But here, they just bring your friend that you've been advocating for, report to Sammy, out of the lake. It's broadcast on TV. Adventures with Purpose found your friend, acquaintance, whatever. The girl that you left behind at the party, to your own admittance. But Sammy's not the only one that would be guilty of that, because there was other people there, correct? So we can't just beat on Sammy for that. But yet we see her at Donner Lake and she's slamming beers. She's back to partying. It's as if it never happened. The detachment and the low vibration, I've never understood. I need help from chat. Chris said, all you guys do is talk about what ifs I heard and nonsense. You have no facts. Welcome to the channel. We do have a lot of discussions and conversations here. Yes, what ifs come up. We're not actually even talking about what ifs. We see a lot of red flags.
I just spoke about facts. I spoke I'm sorry. I take pause with what the Chris just said. Perry, I just spoke facts. She was on a provisional license driving illegally post curfew, transporting people under the age of 25. Those are two facts. There was illegal alcohol and possibly drugs at a party, which was known to law enforcement in a sanctuary, quote, quote, park on a regular basis. And a law enforcement didn't break those parties up. That's a fact. So we are discussing facts.
And we can put in the chat any other fact that comes to your mind, red flag, what have you. Welcome, Chris.
I have one. I have a red flag.
What is it?
Chris will like this one. So
let's help Chris out, guys. Let's help out Chris. Put up a red flag.
When Dr. Latina was talking, something occurred to me. So 11 o'clock was her normal curfew. Okay, her mom said that 11 o'clock is usually her curfew. Sometimes if she decides to stay out later, she usually texts mom and asks or calls. Mom said they got home around 11 from hot August nights. She got a text from Kylie at 11:30 saying that she was going to stay longer. And there's been debates of whether or not that was Kylie. So my two questions are, when she got home at 11 o'clock and realized that it was now her curfew and she wasn't there, did mom try to get a hold of her? She knew where she was, right? She knew exactly where the party was. She knew where she was. Did she try to get a hold of her and say, curfew, it's curfew. How much further are you? Or curfew, it's been 15 minutes and I still don't know where you are. I hope you're on your way. Or did she text at 11:30 to Kylie and say, where are you? Curfew was 30 minutes ago and we're home, and then got a reply?
And I'm probably going to add some more salt to that wound. When she got up the next morning, because according to mom, she went to sleep. She didn't stay up. She gets up the next morning to, whatever it is, whatever her morning routine is. Kylie's not home. Instead of, when she realized Kylie wasn't answering her phone and the 360 was shut off, instead of immediately calling the authorities, 911, to find her daughter, she went to Starbucks to try to find her. I'm not okay. I'll give maybe. It wasn't until much later in the afternoon, almost dinner time. We had 15, 16 hours. If we're talking about an abduction, she's way the hell away. The minute she knew that she wasn't answering that phone and that 360 was shut off, there should have been one call, 911. Not, I'm going to go to Starbucks and try to track her down. I think those kids deterred throughout the day her calling the authorities. And I wonder who actually called 911. If grandpa finally said, oh, no, I've had it, we're getting a hold of someone to help us.
Yeah, I've thought about that too, because my mom would probably give it a minute. I would get like a warning message from my mom, like, if I don't hear from you within the next 30 minutes, I'm calling the police. But that's me. And so it wouldn't be abnormal for me to forget to have let my mom, know where I was going. Not at 16, but as a grown-up. I mean, I get those messages as a grown-up. So she says that was abnormal, that even typically she would have got another call after 11:30 saying, okay, mom, I left, I'm driving, and now I'm on my way. So I agree with you that I feel like my initial reaction when I woke up and she still wasn't there, and I had no text messages, no missed calls, no voicemails, phone is off. locations not being shared, and it shows her never having left the party site, I would have left the house likely and got enough service to call 911 as I was on my way to the party to see if she was there.
Exactly. I agree with you.
Chris says pending, meaning the cause of death, which I still don't understand a cremation without cause of death, just means they aren't telling you. No, my friend, it's not about me. They also aren't telling the state of California. They also are not telling Vital Records who sends out the death certificate. Pending means pending. They have not finished their investigation. There's a fact for you.
And they know the cause of, I mean, they did an autopsy. So when you die from like a drug overdose, you don't die from a drug overdose. You die from what that overdose does to your body.
Mm-hmm.
So whether they knew if she had drugs in her, let's say she did a bunch of cocaine and went into cardiac arrest, her cause of death would be cardiac arrest, number one. They would know that without getting toxicology back. So I'm interested as why they did not list cause of death on there, because they do know it. Like that is like, that should be an objective thing.
Well, as somebody who has reviewed many autopsies, I totally agree with you. But there's a difference between manner of death and cause of death, and I totally agree with you. Obviously, the cause of death ultimately was, let's say, cardiac arrest, so she stopped breathing. But we want to know the manner of death, secondary to what? Strangulation, secondary to head trauma, that kind of thing. But I agree with I do agree with you, you guys, that they haven't disclosed it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's bad personally that they allowed the body to be, released, because if the autopsy is complete, generally, we keep like enough organs or muscle, etc., to be able to go back and retest for. Let's say the toxicology comes back a bit odd, then enough, material from that human person will have been kept so that more testing can be done. So yeah.
Let me ask you. So, for instance, if this was, and I know manner of death is important to know, because cardiac arrest could be for a variety of different reasons. But for instance, if she were to have driven into the lake and drown, her final cause of death in a drowning would be what? Asphyxia? Is that like typical for drowning?
I guess you could say it could be suffocation,
yeah,
that kind of thing.
Okay, so basically if they were to have done the autopsy, at this point I feel like they should know if she drowned or not. Right?
That jumps out at me as well.
Yeah. So the fact that it's not on there with the manner pending, even if they put cause of death and then they redacted it, the fact that it's not on there, like it's not still under investigation. The manner is going to have nothing to do with the actual cause. The body tells you what the cause is. Your investigation is going to tell you what the manner is. Go, go, go. So I'm wondering why that's still, is that going to come back undetermined?
Okay, so I'm not clear on your question. So originally, what is your name, by the way?
Sleuthy.
Yes, and I follow you. Yes, I see you, Heather, Feather, and Jan on different channels, and I love everything that you do, by the way. And I think I've even seen you on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
I follow you, but I just didn't know your face with your name. And now the cause of death. I mean, I don't mean to sound like, well, that's obvious, but the cause of death really comes down to what you said earlier, Sleuthy. Either cardiac arrest, or a lot of times. I remember the police coming to my house on my day off many years ago, let's say 7 years ago, knocking and saying, "We found one of your patients deceased at home. They lived alone. Could you come down to the funeral home with us and identify your patient? I'm like, okay. So I went. Yes, it was my patient. And then they were like, we need you to sign the death certificate. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how she died. I mean, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't know the manner of death, right? So ultimately, to make a long story short, what they wanted just on the death certificate, which is different from an autopsy, obviously, is we just want to know the cause of death, which is what you were talking about, Sloothy. So I put, okay, fine, cardiac arrest. And then this, as a result of, and I knew her other medical conditions that played into that. And she was an older person. So, this was not a total surprise. So they didn't ask me for a manner of death, which is what the autopsy, ultimately, that's what we as the public would like to know. The manner of death for Kylie, is it cardiac arrest? It could be, well, let me just go back. She could have drowned and been alive and still had an overdose. She could have overdosed and been unconscious because she was overdosing. And then she aspirated the lake water and then she drowned. I mean, so you know what I'm saying? So I think the toxicology is very important. And frankly, I don't think drowning, it wouldn't give me as a physician enough closure if right now we were told she drowned. I want to know, okay, what did she have on board?
Well, and you can drown on accident. You can drown because you couldn't get out of the car. You could drown because
Was she tethered? Was she tethered in the car and couldn't get out?
But so then I guess, so if I'm just asking just outright, so my question is wouldn't they know at this point for just the cause of death if it was something like she drowned?
Yes.
Okay. And
just
so
like with Gabby Petito, they knew, I think, because of her hyoid bone, which is this little bone in your neck that when you are strangled, that breaks. That's sort of a classic sign of strangulation. They were able to say she was strangled, she was throttled, her neck was throttled, that kind of thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I don't even know if they released at that point. I believe it was weeks and weeks later that they released that her toxicology. Is that not right for Gabby Petito?
It was
Yeah.
So clearly, whether she had drugs on board or not, that her autopsy revealed that probably her hyoid bone was fractured and that she had been strangled.
I guess I feel like the fact that it wasn't included, the cause of death was not included. So, again, if they were to have put suffocation, that could be drowning. It could be that someone had strangled her. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess I'm going under the assumption that since they put gave them that death certificate and it had no cause of death, knowing that they know it, I don't feel like they think that it was an accident. That's what I feel
That's
like.
what I would agree, but I also think that I think it was on purpose because they are still investigating, it's hard to know. I know what you're saying. Like I think, okay, what if it said head trauma?
Right.
And it looked like she had been battered or something.
Well,
if it were something that straightforward, maybe they would have said it. But regardless, I feel like whether they said it or didn't, the fact that they just put pending was a purposeful thing. That doesn't mean that they don't know. I guess that's my point. It's pending.
Yeah, it feels like we're pending toxicology because then that's what we're going to put in as the cause of death. That's what it feels like to me.
Well, but in medicine, we often will say pending until we're ready to say what's going on.
Well, what I'm gathering is there's obviously a cause of death determined from the autopsy. It's the manner that's being weighted up on.
Yes, they have to know. I mean, do we agree, Dr. Latina, that like 100% they know what caused her death at this point?
Oh, absolutely, because it goes back to what you're saying. the immediate cause of death is frankly just the heart stops, or they suffocate, and then the heart stopped. And you get me? So yes, you're right. But I didn't look closely enough at that document. Does it, where it says pending, it's the cause of death? Do they have a manner of death under that, or no? Is it on that document?
I believe that says pending investigation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man, it's really hard to know, because I'll be kind of irked if she ends up having, I'm making this up. Let's just say she has a high level of alcohol on board. I hope that they don't therefore just say, well, we're just going to say it was a DUI accident. You see what I'm
That's my
saying?
concern.
But supposedly, let me just explain to you from a criminal perspective, supposedly, and that's why I say supposedly, the autopsy those results are given to the coroner, who is the administrator of the results. That coroner, PS, is the same person as the sheriff in this case. So that does make me nervous, because I think it's a conflict of interest when the coroner, who writes the detailed final statement about the autopsy, is the same person as the sheriff, because it's
they used a deputy coroner, and I was really surprised at how many counties, not just in California, nationwide. First of all, to be a coroner is like 650 hours. It's almost nothing. And how many sheriffs are also the coroner?
Yeah, see, that's in my opinion, as
So put it up. Let me put it up, because that one.
Okay.
Sheriff Moon didn't sign off. It's Jason Klinkenbeer, deputy coroner. So if you can, I don't know if you can see that very good, Dr. Latina.
Uh-huh.
It says it's hard to see, pending, and then over to the right it says unknown. Then of course what got people talking is it asks if she's been pregnant in the last year, and it says unknown. Now, how would the medical examiner not know if she was pregnant then or had been pregnant in the last 12 months?
Oh, well, that's an easy one. Okay, so so let's say to me, what that says to me is she was not pregnant at the time of the autopsy, but it's unknown to the medical examiner, right? The person doing the autopsy doesn't know whether she had been pregnant in the past 12 months. They don't have any evidence of a positive pregnancy test or a delivery or an abortion, or, you know what I'm saying? So it's unknown.
You could just put unknown on any females then.
Well,
Correct.
Dr. Latina, if I may,
Unless they're pregnant at the time of autopsy.
What is the significance in knowing for the past year?
Oh, that's a good question.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no. I'm thinking about it. It's a really good question. Was she pregnant in the last year? I'd really have to think about that.
Because that's what's thrown me off. I would think, of course, I don't know much about the medical profession, but it would be, was she pregnant at the time of death? Yes or no?
Well, yes, that does make much more sense to me. I don't know. I haven't really seen. So I'm speaking blindly here. Does that document that you're reading off of? Because I'm on my phone, so I can't really see the exact print. Does that document say, was she pregnant in the last year, or was she pregnant at the time of autopsy, or what does it say?
I gotta look.
What is that code? 12202506.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to like blow this up after I talk to you guys and look a little more closely at all these little details.
It says, if female, pregnant in last year, ? So you can hit yes, no, or unknown, and they hit unknown.
Mm-hmm. It may just have to do with vital statistics, honestly. I don't know. I can ask one of my friends who does more of this specifically about that. question.
Okay, thanks.
Because to me, what would make more, if it's not vital statistics, then to me, what would make more sense would be, was she pregnant at the time of her demise?
Correct.
Now, as an FYI to you all, at the time of death, and I don't know if anybody followed the Watts case, but I know that at the time of death of, I don't even remember the woman's name, frankly, but say again? Shanann. I believe they found her fetus, outside of her body. And the reason that would be is at the time of death, all of your muscles, your sphincter muscle from the rectum, your cervix, which is a muscle, that is a muscle portion of the uterus, your bladder muscle, all of that relaxes just completely. And that's why at the time of death, and people that are found they will often have feces, urine on them. And if they're pregnant, and especially if it's an early pregnancy, the fetus will have been extruded spontaneously. But then this is the reason I'm telling you this is, let's say any person, let's not even talk about college, any person is early pregnant, they can still try to get hormone levels from the blood if it's not been too long to see if the person was pregnant. You see what I'm saying?
I think it's a very, very important question, because what if said pregnancy was emotive?
Right. Exactly. Yes.
And so I really, when people say that's not a big deal, to me, it's a huge deal. And it shouldn't just be a unknown. Somebody at 2022, I have a lot of faith in medical science. Well, not that much when it comes to some things, but somebody should know, especially with the speculation surrounding her death. What if it's emotive?
Well, and I think you bring up an excellent point, because talk about facts. The fact of the matter is, we know, we being in medicine, know that women are probably 5 to 10 times more likely to be battered when they are pregnant by their partner. And this is often a result of domestic violence issues. And also, interestingly, what we find, and I used to do OB for many, many years, and women that would come in who've been battered, the focus of the batter is the abdomen, is the uterus, to hurt the fetus. So I think, going back, is it Jay? Is that your question? Is that your name?
Yeah, sure.
I'm so bad. Is that your name? I'm so bad with names.
Yeah, you can call me Jay. That's fine.
Okay. Jay, what is your name?
I would prefer not to say.
Oh, okay. So I'm right to say Jay then. Okay. I just thought maybe it was Johnny Joe or something. Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. So with Jay, I think now that this is speculation. But I'm thinking now that all of you have brought these questions to the fore, perhaps was she pregnant in the last year may also be important on that document, because of issues around victimization and risk for being a victim of DV if one had been or was pregnant. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because
in a hindsight kind of way, right?
Exactly. You got it.
Okay.
I mean, that's I'm theorizing here, but it would be a really good, because I totally agree with you, Jay. One does need to look at motive, and sadly, women, whether they're a teenager or not, that are pregnant, and I hate it when people say by accident. There is no accidentally getting pregnant unless you've been AR'd, unless you've been violated, SA'd. No, there's no accident. But
Agreed.
if somebody is unwantedly pregnant, then they are, that puts them at an increased risk for DV. So
okay, that makes sense.
And the funny thing about it is, I'm getting way off here. It's a meme I saw the other day, which I happily posted because I found it really hilarious, that the majority of people that are intrigued and follow true crime are women. And we're 9 times out of 10 the damn victim. This meme said that's like chickens watching the cooking show.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And I just anecdotally, I was really shocked. Not want to say shocked, but really impressed, or it impressed upon me that when I was did a bunch of panel visits on like profiling. I don't know if I'm allowed to say different shows, but anyway, let's just say different creators that invited me to discuss issues around an autopsy or victimization or suspectology, whatever. How many people, and there were times where there were thousands of people in chat, how many people would specifically ask me a question around their own victimization, their own survivorship? And I've subsequently have sent many people through, obviously anonymous to the public, who've been in touch with me through these different profile visits, journals or healing sort of questions that they can work on for their own journaling purposes, for their own healing journey. And I when that's what sort of irks me, when people uh, sort of disrespect the whole community of true crime, and the whole, why does everybody have to do this? Well, I think there's a huge therapeutic benefit to shining light, not only to understand what happens to these victims, but it's hugely therapeutic for survivors, not only to realize they're not alone, but within the chat community, which a lot of times creators can't see the nuances going on because they're busy doing what you're doing right now. But within the chat, live chats, people are consoling one another, are saying, I'm really sorry that happened, whatever. That has enormous therapeutic benefit. And when
It is, and that's the reason I'm very, 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 very big on agree to disagree. We're going to respect each other's opinions, theories. If you're coming here to be nasty, we're going to highlight your comment and we're just going to give you a bunch of red flags and facts, and you'll just get used to it. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Because everybody sees these cases different. And I can't tell you, every time I do a show, I see something in the comments or someone comes on panel and we're talking about the exact same article, exact same clip, something different stuck out to them, which totally, it gives you a different perspective. Marco, you are full of piss and vinegar today. You've had me cracking up. RT's up here now. Let's all welcome RT. He says he's local to the Truckee community. RT, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lose you back there. Hello, RT. You're muted. So, I mean, you're in chat more, obviously, than I would be. So you see the same thing. I mean, a lot of people will share, like, without getting too...
I'm here.
Oh, okay. And they'll say, that happened to me, or this happened to,
Absolutely. And I think that you cannot put a price tag on the channels in true crime who aren't into drama crama, who aren't so large into the hundreds of thousands that they're everybody's anonymous. But the smaller channels, in my experience, have provided a platform for so many people, women, yes, mostly, to be able to share about their survivorship or their trauma. I think it's marvelous. I really do.
What's going on, RT? We're glad you're up here.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to say
connection problem. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. And just a very quick introduction. I am living in Truckee. I'm a resident of Truckee for over 20 years, and I could offer a little perspective, but I have to say the good doctor has really been the voice of reason for the last 20 minutes or so, and she really deserves a round of applause. Very, very good job.
Absolutely. Thank you.
What I want to...
It is, Doc.
And I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm a little I'm on my cell phone, or handy, so it's a little bit different. But I wanted to know, I really liked what the doctor said about free range parenting versus helicopter parenting, for example. I used to use the word submarine parenting, and I don't know if that clicks with the doctor, but it's kind of the same thing. And there is definitely a lot of that going around up here. And I'm sure it is everywhere with, parenting must be is the hardest job a person can have, without a doubt. And the doctor can give more perspective on how people come out after being parented, good or bad. But I wanted to ask the doctor if she sees any narcissistic personality traits in not the mother, but in Sammy.
Okay, so thank you for giving me the feedback that you did. I felt like I was a bit on a rant, and I try not to be judgmental, although I do have strong opinions about parenting and about, just life in general. And I always try to temper my rants, so to speak, with the fact that I myself am a mother and I have made my share of errors, even though I feel like I was and am. And we can talk about that in a minute, but the three traditional types of parenting are, the middle type is what they call authoritative. There's kind of less, what we call laissez-faire, which is a little bit different from free range, but laissez-faire, which is just sort of calm, cool, and collect, not directive parenting. There's authoritative parenting, which is in the middle. You have strong structure for your children, but you're not an authoritarian. And that's the third type of parenting. And I totally agree with you, Mr. Caller, that, regardless of your parenting style, and then on the extreme of laissez-faire is what we call the free range. And on the other extreme of authoritarian is the helicopter parenting. So you got this whole little bell curve. But regardless of where you stand, I totally agree with you. It is the most difficult job. It is a crushingly I can say, having been through medical school, training, fellowship, working back in the day, they made us work 100 hours a week, no rest, no this, no that. I've cried more as a parent, and I've prayed more as a parent, and I've self-doubted more as a parent than I have in any other aspect of my life. So it is difficult. Now, what was your question? What was your question?
Well, my question was, and she is still young, and it
Yes.
still continues. If you seeing, and I'll just repeat it for the others, narcissistic personality tendencies or traits in Sammy, and I'm just wondering that.
Okay, so I do a lot. I'm a family practitioner, which is sort of cradle to the grave, womb to the tomb, so to speak. And then I did a whole separate training in psychiatry, and that I do a lot of psychiatry now. So, so from an ethical perspective, as a physician, we really can't diagnose somebody if we've never met them and formally evaluated them. However, I am ethically allowed to give impressions. So I wanted just to let you know that if what I'm going to say is an impression, because I don't know Sammy. I've never met her, right? I haven't evaluated her.
That's fair.
The other thing I'm going to say is that when I was training 30 years ago, and up until about 10 years ago, I would say, we would ascribe a personality disorder onto even adolescence. But in recent years, because as I talked about earlier about the frontal lobe development and whatnot, we know that the frontal lobe doesn't fully develop in females, and the frontal lobe is responsible for impulse control and choices and etc. Doesn't fully develop till age 25, and in males, all the way up until, frankly, 30 years of age, right? We, in the past decade, have been retrained, so to speak, to be very careful not to ascribe personality disorder onto adolescents, and even early young adults, because we know that a personality disorder, your personality is what I say, it's part of the fabric of who you are. It's part and parcel to who your essence. So once you put a name on something, like a diagnosis, and it tends to follow a person, and then it's sort of like, well, that's it, I'm narcissistic for the rest of my life, oh my god, it's hopeless. So what we try to do is exactly what you just said, use the term trait or tendency rather than just the person is this thing. Okay, so that's number one. I think it's dangerous for anybody, even as a professional, even I, that does psychiatry, am loath to put a personality disorder onto somebody in writing. And if I do, I often will say traits, or I'll say, tendencies. So I just wanted to say that. I think it really is important, because I do hear people on this internet, YouTube, throwing around all these diagnoses, and I'm thinking, well, you don't really even know. So that being said, I do see that Sammy, in my impression is that she does have some whiffs, so to speak, of narcissism, in the sense of wanting to be the center of attention. There does seem to be a lack of empathy. And the creator here, I'll just I don't even know your name, but I know the name of your channel here, mentions that Sammy is still on the internet taking pictures of herself, sloshing down beer and laughing and dancing. And, this really shows a lack of sense of remorse and empathy. So in those senses, I find it alarming that she is behaving like this. Right?
Right. Yeah,
Um,
it makes sense.
yes.
It does make sense, that it makes no sense for her to be in such a state, with all the videos that have come out, especially the last one with the dorm, after a few weeks of mourning is very strange, to say the least. And crimes, and lines and lies. You're doing a great job. You've covered so many subjects here in the last while. I've been only on here for about an hour, and I did want to be able to, and I thank you, Doctor, for answering those questions. Be able to answer any questions you might have for local. I cannot see chat right now, but if you had anything, I do want to just, I would gladly give my local perspective. I live in Truckee. It's sunny. It's a beautiful day out here. It's noon. But
Well, yeah,
my
being there in the town, in the community, when you get out and about, are people discussing the death of Kylie Rodney, or is it just something not talked about? Are people in the community wanting something done regardless of the outcome? If this turns out to just be an accident, are they wanting a crackdown on these parties and some sort of accountability for the interference with a police investigation? I got a lot of questions. So let's start with, what's the community vibe?
Okay. It's very quiet, but there's reasons for that. And the doctor talked about free range parenting. Well, there's also a sense of free range law enforcement. And I'll say allegedly, but if anybody is local and listening, they probably would agree to that. Things are ignored. Children, young adults are allowed to do pretty much anything they want. In other words, if you don't, for a stupid example, if you don't put a fence on your property, people will go onto your property. Now, I'm not for putting fences on property, but there are certain things that we wouldn't have allowed 10, 20 years ago that just happen. Kids do pretty much what they want. Probably a reason that they didn't go out to the or any authorities went out to the site to check it out. Even the on-site manager of the park, who lives in a trailer, who's probably a retiree, and distributes the permits for camping at Prosser, you would think he would have noticed a bunch of cars coming in at a certain time and a little bit of the noise. Although I was just out there, and it is the sanctuary is shielded from noise from the campground, and probably why they do it there. But to answer your question, no, there's things will come up. I use the example in the newspaper that is a weekly, pretty much a paper that is for the Chamber of Congress to promote tourism up here and local businesses. That was on the front page when it first happened. Then they switched, and when they finally found her, it made the second page of the weekly paper. And then you've heard nothing. They talk about skate parks, about the coming up winter season. And my point is, the reason that probably a lot of people aren't talking in hopes that it blows away, and if it wasn't for YouTubers, and I'm really happy about that, it probably would be swept under the carpet. The reason is there's a lot of tourism up here, as everyone knows, and the economy is very tourism based, and any bad news is bad news for the economy. And remember, the mom runs the business up there. She has contacts with the community, the suppliers, the handymen, the other businesses. And I think one of her, not confidants, but one of her speakers for her is a head of the Downtown Merchants Association, or was. And you can see that the merchants and the town is very much ruled by business from tourism up here, and that has a lot to do with the honor in or whatever it was, honor in silence, where it was really a crazy answer to say. And I know she's grieving, and I know it's a mother, and it's a terrible thing. It's a long answer. Sorry.
No, I loved it.
It's wonderful, wonderful to hear all of what you're saying.
Yeah, and again, a light police contact. People, if you watch that one video about the graduation, I mean, I know they do this, but usually they do it in private. But they gave checks to the kids for scholarships at the graduation. Now, I don't know if that's normal in your town or anyone listening in their town. I'm used to having that done behind the scenes with and there's many businesses that do that in groups and volunteer organizations, and it's a good thing. But then we were giving them out in presence of everybody, and then when you saw Jagger come up, and it was almost like he was more interested in the fishbowl or whatever it was in the class. Didn't get one. This doesn't mean anything, but it was quite strange to see them give gifts to kids of thousands of dollars for their scholarships in front of the whole class at Truckee High. Crazy.
Now that is really odd. Did everybody get the same check?
No, different businesses. Sorry. Give different amounts to different people for different things, and it's typical, normal, all good. I'm not criticizing it. To see it done in the open like that in front of, what if you were a child and you didn't get one? I'd feel pretty bad. Has nothing to do with the case, but it's just typical up here.
Okay, now I was going to ask you. By the way, I love how candid you're being.
Yeah, I have no alternative but to help people try to understand the mindset in Truckee. And there's a lot of speculation, as you can well imagine, on a lot of the channels and a lot of the people in chat, which is absolutely fine. People should have opinions, but I want to say, and I want you to ask your next questions, or your people can ask me questions. And I'd like to see also if the doctor has more information on insight there, that the town is not all crazy. We're not all like that. It's a 16. We were a year or two ago. There was 16,000 residents because of during the pandemic. Many people, and I've said this before, have left the Bay Area, and the Bay Area is what the Bay Area is: San Francisco, Sacramento, and other parts. And we've increased our population by about 2,000 in the last 2 years. Medium home price, 1.1 million, very affluent. But to use that word community for me is so overused or misused. She had a group of friends, business associates, like I said, and I mean, not everybody's on the same page up here, as it seems like it's like a cult community. There's no way. There's a large part of people that want their businesses to succeed.
I'm so glad you came up and said that, because I've talked to other people that live in your community. They've been invited to come on panel. It's kind of one of those things like, let me think about it type of thing. It was said very early on, tourism is definitely a concern. Kylie's disappearance has been on the Today Show, Good Morning America, CBS This Morning, Fox, CNN, News Nation. That doesn't look good for business. Some people have even said it could be, you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce. That's on Lindsay's ass going, if you want to continue to do business around here, this needs to go away fast. People aren't going to come here and vacation and spend their hard-earned money if there's a bunch of crazy kids out in the woods. I don't believe that happened. It's just an opinion. It's a conversation point that's come up a few times. I kind of think that Lindsay just wants us away from her. I don't know why I get that feeling. It's just an opinion. So as far as when all of this was heightened the first week, I don't know if it was in your newspaper or if it was reported on your news, if you were watching the community meeting on YouTube or if you went to it, I don't know. What was your feeling? I know how some other locals felt about this, about the teen to teen meeting, teen talk. We're going to talk to these kids and we're going to relay to law enforcement what they tell us about the party. How did you feel about that?
Okay, personally, I don't think it was a good idea. However, I can see the reasoning, and I'd like to hear other people's opinion on this, that they might, the kids might be afraid of the police and want to go to maybe another person and tell them if they had seen anything. So I can understand that completely, but that the whole idea of her collecting it all and what she did with that information, I would have to imagine that behind the scenes the police were getting information from her, and if not, that's just strange. But the community seemed to the group of people that were searching and at those community meetings, and again, not the whole community, 16,000 residents. Let's say there was 100 people there. I was at the memorial ceremony, and there was maybe 150 people. A lot of looky-loos. I saw everybody that has been on names had mentioned, and there was a very small group of people that that hung around with her. The father, and I've said this on some other place, so I'm probably repeating myself. The father came about 2 hours late into the speech where the mother and the stepfather were on stage, and he stayed 1,000 feet away from her. He never, the mother, which you had talked earlier here in the comments about how it was weird that they didn't come together. They for the memorial at least, and I believe they probably had to have. I mean, normal people would, but every time in public you see the father, he's wearing a cowboy hat, a plaid shirt, Levi's with slits, and cowboy boots. Look at her as you've seen her in the pictures with the lei. She was barefoot. I'm not criticizing her whatsoever. And there is that kind of a lifestyle up here, but he's 100% opposite, and I think he's wondering too why the police let Sammy kind of take charge there. So sorry, a long answer.
No, there's no simple answer to these things. No, especially when you live there and you've got, people from all over the country wondering what happened at this party nationwide. Let's talk about this. Everybody weigh in. Nationwide, the Today Show, everything that's going on. Obviously, it's not being covered now.
Yeah.
Mainstream media does not cover an accident at a party. They do not.
Well, they don't.
There's a mystery around this. There's a mystery around this. And it really comes down to what Mom originally said, because that's what got my attention. Nobody saw her leave this party. Everyone's like, how could no one see her leave a party? How? What do you mean no one saw her leave? When you leave a party, you leave a gathering, someone sees you leave. And some people are loud leavers. I'm a loud leaver. I'm the one that's like, bye, everybody. See ya. Yeah, get a hold of me. See you next time. Be safe going home. I'm the loud leaver. But either way, someone sees someone make an exit. So Mom's initial statement that I saw on News Nation, she was crying. She kept repeating, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. News Nation mentioned the GoFundMe. Mom didn't. Because I remember thinking, oh, lady, you're in for it. You don't even realize what's going to happen in a few days. When the shock wears off, people are going to start really looking at you. And they are. But when she said, nobody saw my daughter leave the party. Then we hear from Sammy on good old Tony's channel. And we hear this party started out, a handful of people. And then it escalates to 2, 3. We've heard up to almost 400 people. We can't figure out where everybody parked. We're talking about the simplest of things. How could no one see her leave the party? Then we have the mass exodus. Have you heard anything about that? Why did everybody, what do you think caused a bunch of people to leave all at once? And not just people, we're talking kids, young adults, whatever you want to call them, to just leave all at once.
Yeah, on the Exodus, I don't know. Remember, it's dark out there, pitch black. Someone said there was a half a moon. I tell you, it's pitch black out there, and it's getting darker. Earlier now. Now we're a month or 6 weeks back. At 7:00, 7:30 at night, it's dark out there. So if they went out there, it was dark. If they had to follow each other to get in there. When I first went down the road to the sanctuary a few weeks ago, I missed the road. I went to the boat ramp by mistake. Had to come back. Had to go on Google Maps and find that little entrance. It's not marked. It's very hidden. And then go on a dirt road, which was pretty weird to get down to that area. And where I was, and I'm not trying to repeat myself if other people have heard me on another channel describe this, but the area that she parked at was a perfect area for parking. And you'd have to probably walk for 10 minutes to get up to the sanctuary from there. But it was really the only area to park. Maybe 20 cars would have fit in the sanctuary. If you would have been on the main road next to the campground, you would have been pretty much exposed and would have raised some red flags with the on-site manager. But again, stuff like this is tolerated. But I think to your crime, to your question, which is a great one, why would she be the last one to leave the party? That's nuts. That you go together or you go early, but why would she? I mean, good speculation for everybody, but why would she, the 16-year-old that went to that graduated early, that had a head on her shoulders, who apparently wanted to go get a good buzz on down there, and I still don't understand that quite much, but that's okay. Be the last one to leave. That's impossible.
And many other kids would have had, I keep calling them kids, whatever, 18, 19, 20, upwards to I hear mid-30s. I heard there was some, younger 30-year-olds there. I don't know the exact age range of everybody there.
Mhm.
Many people would have been leaving with alcohol in their system, but there's only one
Absolutely.
person that drove into the lake.
Right. And as the
Nobody
doctor said, I'm sorry, but as the doctor said, at 16, you graduate high school. That's a great feat, and it's amazing. But you haven't got the experience a lot that you might have the intelligence of a 21-year-old, but you don't have the experience. And people say, "Oh, she lived in this area." This area where she lived was a good 40-minute drive. On Google Maps, it says shorter, but there's dirt roads involved. Remember, it was midnight. It was dark as heck, and I navigated those roads. And there's videos on other channels about that. Some good ones that are not trying to put any wrong opinions out there. You just wouldn't you wouldn't drive around there. You wouldn't drive to Boca, that's for sure. No way. And there are ways, but you wouldn't have done it. You would have gone home in the dark. I drove home on Saturday from the neighborhood that's near there, and it was a spooky drive. It's an eerie drive, and that was at 10:30 at night. At midnight 30, it's going to be even stranger. And I had asked the doctor her input, and I forgot what it was now. I'm sorry, but keep asking.
Anybody else have a question for a local? I just my brain left me. Okay,
And I can't see chat. Sorry.
And
I have a couple of questions, if I might.
Please.
Okay, so first I want to make a brief comment, and that is that what I find so interesting, and it goes back to your statement at the graduation where the local merchants were handing out checks. I've never heard of such a thing personally. But what's really interesting to me is that here, now we live on the East Coast, so it's very, very different from the West Coast. Here, first of all, vis-a-vis social media, from the time my children entered middle school, they were told by the school administrators, and this is not just my children, I'm saying I've lived in a couple of states here on the East Coast, that they were to be very, very careful about anything that they put on social media, that anything that they put on social media that was illegal, outlandish, whatever, including scandalous pictures, immodesty. Not kidding, man. All of these would potentially be and could be reviewed by future colleges, employers, etc. And while I rediscussed this with my 23-year-old just the other night when we were talking about this case, and I said to her, "So what is this that these kids were putting all this stuff on social media with, the Sammy with the partying and the this and the that, everything that we've been able to see, And she said, "I don't know if these kids were just foolish, naive, or if it's a different system out there, but she said, I just can't believe the stuff that those kids put." And I'm just talking, sloshing down the beer or different things that we've seen, right? As my daughter said, that kind of stuff could have prevented her from having been accepted into college here or getting a job. And what's really ironic, not that we live in a police state or anything, but at the same time, so to me, for the local merchants, see, out here, those merchants would have, they would say, let's look at what is this kid an upright child? It's not just about your academics, but it's how you present yourself to the world. So people do review kids' social media, and they would not be a recipient of any money if they were out there showing that they were doing illegal, immodest activity. So it is interesting to me. I don't know if some of these people that are in this sub community of Kylie, of these kids, whether they were recipients of money, but to me, it's just ironic that money was given. And I just wonder, do you know, I'm talking to Mr. Caller here, out there, are children and young people, and I'll speak for myself also, in a minute, held to a standard where you are limited in what you're allowed to do on social media because of the way it projects your, your being.
Social media has changed the world without a doubt, and in a good way, for me in a good way, and for some maybe in a bad way. But the fact that there was no pictures is or, at least that we haven't seen. Remember, law enforcement has been sitting on this, as you guys have said, for a while, and I'm wondering if they know what they know the talks. They must know many things that we don't, and I think they're kind of waiting for somebody to come out. There's no leaks. There's what's weird is the White House has leaks. That we have no leaks in this case is
Yes.
unbelievable. But to your question is, and again, with no people would make videos, pictures, TikTok, whatever they use, a million of these things. That they didn't do it there and all of a sudden shut down, I can't believe it. I know that phone reception, and there's 3 companies up here, the usual suspects, and they all cover different areas. People have different services. And in that area, it can be spotty, but it can also be okay. So I used the excuse that the area was spotty and nobody put stuff live on. But to be honest, I think that there is good internet out there. There's no cameras out there. There's no cameras sticking in the woods or hiding. So none of that was ever captured from law enforcement. But the kids partying didn't put pictures out is beyond me.
But I guess what I'm saying is that there are plenty of other episodes amongst Sammy and that group where that they have previously had out there on the internet. And I'm just interested in knowing, does that behavior, which is obviously, like, Sammy's 18, it's illegal for her to be publicly drinking, right? And she videos herself. That doesn't impact on the kids' scholarships and acceptances to universities out there?
Well, yes, absolutely, as anywhere. But would somebody not have a conscience that come forward, or that it's been completely covered up is or not covered up, is on the low is very, very strange. And virtually impossible, in my opinion.
But what do you make of that piece of it? Then how could it be? I totally agree with you on that. The fact that nobody would come forward. I mean, it's unless there's some powerful figure that has that much control over this group and puts the fear of God into them or something.
And
that's a good one. And
that's been my question for a long time, because when Sammy, right in front of the police, addressed, and it's not the whole community, and I'm glad that he's explaining that, what we're seeing is not the community per se. It's like I talked about the Summer Wells case. What you see with Dawn, Candace, Grandis, and their circle of friends, that doesn't represent East Tennessee. Yet you have people that don't even know where Tennessee is going, oh my God, I can't believe how they are in Tennessee. I can't believe how they are in East Tennessee. No, we're talking about that group of people. Same with what we're dealing with here. So when Sammy grabs the microphone, and I feel bad for the other kids of the community. So when Sammy grabs the microphone and she's up there addressing everyone and says something so disrespectful in front of law enforcement, basically saying, I'll go to jail and not even tell them, and everyone kind of laughs, that's bad. That's a bad vibe to send, because not all of the kids are that way. So I'm wondering myself, as local merchants and business owners are handing out checks, are they handing out checks to kids that say post themselves passed out drunk? Do they look at that? Or is it just, is the normal vibe that's all okay?
Yeah, of course it's not okay, but the check issue was just that they're giving it for students who've gotten good grades or are outstanding in the community. Probably the kids not that were not at the party, in my opinion, or maybe some of
Probably.
them were. But you know, you have on screen now, read deeply, and I love that picture on the right for the local. It says, "Is it common for kids to have strange license plates like Kylie's?" I tell you this, you can psychoanalyze that license plate, but for me, it's a normal license plate. There was it said something about the car was purchased in Washington. The frame around the license plate, I think, says Washington on it. The numbers for me, and I'm not. I just can't go down that hole. There's nothing strange about the license plate, or if I'm wrong, please correct me.
I didn't
I'm
think there was
wondering,
either.
yeah.
People are reading into it, I think.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of stuff about Scientology, and the closest Scientology is in Reno. I know there's I don't think there's a Christian bookshop here. There's a lot of churches, but they're all Christian based here in Truckee. And I, I there is it's just super far fetched. I saw one video where the guy went to see those rocks with petroglyphs on them. I mean, this is you're going out there. I think this thing will materialize into a couple things, and I hope I mean, I'm just speculating that it was an accident with special circumstances. She went in the water. She might have been intoxicated, and people either saw it or didn't. And that's I just can't believe anything supernatural was involved. And I'm just trying to address those people that are trying to read into it that there's something spooky going on up there, that the whole town is a cult town. It's not like that. If it couldn't be. There's too many people with different opinions. There's Facebook groups up here. People hate on each other. You know, people will say something, and the next second, someone will say the opposite. It's not every 16,000 of an army who's fighting in a war on this all on the same page to turn Truckee into this occult community. I'm not going to say I wish it was, because I don't, but it's not like that.
So you can only speculate because you weren't at the party.
Yeah.
You didn't see her leave.
Right. I do know.
Agree that it's very abnormal circumstances that not one person saw her leave or won't speak up about it.
Absolutely weird. That is weird.
Several people. It can't be just her and one other person that denies being there with her. Many people.
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt. Which party? And I don't think it was as big as they say too. With 300 people, would a 16-year-old be the last one to leave? I don't care if she fell asleep or whatever it is. What party? Think of the ones you've all been to. A 16-year-old was the last one to leave alone in the party? I mean, impossible.
I don't think anybody's saying that she was the last to leave, but that when she left, nobody saw her leave. That's always been a huge question mark. Then you have Sammy saying she was so drunk that she wouldn't accept a ride from her, as if Kylie was begging. But yet she says she drank out of everything she drank out of, and and Sammy was perfectly fine, and nothing seemed off about her. Did we lose you?
No, I'm here. I'm sorry, I didn't know if you ended the question, but that is quite. That caught me too early on when she said we drank out of the same cup or whatever it was. That was a red flag for me. Speculating, of course, but a big red flag.
So may I ask you, Mr. Kohler,
yeah,
do you think, since you've driven out to the sanctuary, etc., and we've gotten conflicting videos and conflicting reports with respect to the drive down to where she actually was found in the lake reservoir, is it possible, in your opinion, or maybe you did not drive that part, that she could have just been trucking along, so to speak, driving home and ended up in the water? Or would it have been, like they said, these a four-wheeler type of pathway with lots of holes and stuff like that? And it would have been obvious she was off-road.
Listen, in the dark, like I said, and if you add intoxicants or alcohol into the mix, anything could happen with the driving. However, I believe she parked there, and I believe other cars parked there because that I did go down right to the shoreline, and
Okay.
the water has really receded since then, and it's very clear. And I'm not the type to go poking around in the water. I just could see that it was clear, took a picture, and that was it, just for my own reference. And where the memorial, the Kylie in stone that was written, is gone, and there is just a heart-shaped rock thing with a couple pictures. A couple sculpture flower ornaments there. There's nothing really there, but where she parked was way up higher than that, and the water was higher, of course, too. Could she have made a wrong turn in trying to get out or done something there? Absolutely, especially when it was pitch black. With your lights on or not, it's pitch black. Add booze to the figure, and you're there. You go.
Okay, so accident is definitely on the top of the list potentially, or up there.
I know a lot of people are thinking different about that, and I respect everybody's opinion, but it could be an accident without a doubt. Without a doubt, that could be one of them.
Excellent. So that's good to know objectively, without any,
yes,
rah, this is all occult and whatever, that objective, evidence-based from your experience, that a person could have driven, especially if they had parked there previously and were intoxicated, they could have gone right in there, and that could be the reason for their demise.
100%.
Okay, good to know.
Without a doubt. And somebody, and you know what, Crime, if there's any comments that your mods see or anything that you want to ask, I don't want to prolong your show or take this thing over. That's not my point. I just want to clear up a few things from a local. Let me finish. I want to clear up things from a local standpoint, because there's so much speculation, and it's natural. It's natural, especially when the police are saying nothing. And remember, the news media, they'll cover a murder somewhere, and it makes them money. It makes them headlines. They're happy about it. It's 1 minute on the news, and then when you never find out what happened. In the old days, you could read a newspaper and they would follow up on it with some journalists. But something happens, nobody hears about it. We had a plane crash here last year. Went into the ground at 200 miles an hour, private jet, 6 people on board, 2 dogs. It made the news for about 5 minutes, and then no one talks about it anymore. Zero talk about it. No suspicion, but it's just an example of how things come and go so very quickly. And it's probably in other cities too. It's not just only Truckee.
No, it's the phenomenon of what I call the 24-hour news cycle, and a story cycles through and then it's gone.
It is, and it's what they can. Advertisers pick the news, believe it or not.
Yep.
Advertisers pick the news. People talk about YouTubers, and they're like, "Oh, just clicks and views, clicks and views." YouTube makes tons of money, tons of money. Twitter makes tons of money. Facebook makes tons of money. The local news. So when they're covering the Today Show, whatever, if they're talking about, let's say, when Kylie Rodney, when that first hit, I mean, they would open the show with that, and you could see there's different commercials for different things they're talking about. It's a crazy thing.
So what about the road assistance guy? That somebody's asking about that, and I'm curious, Mr. Caller, about your opinion on Nick, the road assistant guy story.
Yeah, when I watched that video when it first came out, it really impressed me. I mean, I have full respect for AWP, and that when they put that out, and again, as they said, that's only a small portion of what else came out on that. It really raised a lot of questions with, I'm sure, everybody that has been following this case, because it just didn't make sense that the day after she was spotted, and um, quite interesting for sure. Okay, what about my opinion about him? I don't know. There's been rumors about him being undercover. There is an office. He does have a branch. There's 5 tow truck companies in Truckee, and his company has a branch. They're based in Reno or Sparks, which is 30 miles away, and I believe he's from that area. They do have an office up here, so it's not uncommon that they might be used. But I I I I I I think, okay, opinion only. I don't know, trigger warning, whatever you want to say. I think he saw somebody else. The way he described Jagger was pretty much to the T. I mean, I've seen the kid in person, and all the pictures. There's a million pictures online and videos, but I mean, he described him to the T. The girl that he didn't describe on the video. I wonder. There's a lot of people that look like her up here in that group, as you guys know. I don't think he's lying. Could he be a prompt from law enforcement to push some kid to say, "Oh, I have to finally confess because I'm the one," or I don't know what his motives were, or and maybe there were none, or agenda. But I sure would like to see that rest of that interview, and if he really had cameras on that car, and if that date is correct, because then you can cancel all the stuff that I said, because then it's something weird has happened there.
Well, the one thing I do think that points in the direction of the veracity of the story and of Nick is that AWP did speak on, am I allowed to say another creator's name?
Oh yeah.
Okay. On Chris McDonough's The Interview Room, and Doug was very measured and spoke with, in my opinion, great intentionality when he said, if it comes out as an accident, it's going to cause a storm. If it comes out as undetermined, it'll come out a storm. And I forget what the third option was. It'll cause a storm. But then he went back and said, we have the 90% left of that interview with the truck guy. And if it, I can't, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't want to misquote. He said something to the effect of, if it comes out as suspicious, let's just say, or nefarious, it's not the word. He said, our group will have no problem pushing out the story. And I don't remember. It was just such strong, powerful words to me, intimating that he really believes that there was a cover-up.
I took it as not so much a cover-up, that if it comes out it's just an accident, basically get a hobby and go home. Did you take it that he was saying that he believes there's a cover-up?
Yes. Or that this, what does Mr. Caller take it as?
No, I agree with you. I think when you said, I think he was indicating, and again, it's just my opinion, that if this goes a cover up, we're going to show more video, and we're gonna do some things. How that video that was taken from the I don't call him the roadside assistant, not tow truck driver, whatever you want to say. His car, if it was working and it was really running, and they have photos, and law enforcement has that, they know what's going on for sure behind the scenes. Again, I'm surprised they haven't come out with anything. Law enforcement has been very, very quiet on this thing, and I do think that Doug there from AWP was promoting the idea that if this goes in direction of cover up, we're going to show more, and it's going to prove otherwise. Is that what you're saying? Because I agree.
I guess maybe you and I are saying a slightly different thing. I took it as he what he has to show would be so compelling as to prove something criminal happened. Is that not what you understood?
Yeah, that's how I understood it. And
Okay.
crime, are you thinking the same thing?
Yes.
I don't know what happened to Jay. I'm sorry, Jay. I haven't asked you anything.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I'm just letting everyone else talk.
They just they believe what they saw. And I mean, he was very I'm trying to use the right word. Basically he said they have the rest of the video, and it's going to be coming out.
That they're prepared, essentially. I hate to use this expression, but basically this is that they're prepared to show the film and they'll die on that hill kind of thing.
Mhm.
That, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. Can I ask Mr. Caller 2 more questions real quick?
Sure, hon.
Sure.
Okay. Now we're getting into the realm of conspiracy, which I'm not really into, but I do think it needs to be visited. How do you think that this completely unknown, what I would deem goofy or quirky creator, American Dream Chaser, Chaser, how do you think that he was able to garner that, what I would consider coveted interview with Sammy, and that he will not reveal how he was able to do so?
Yeah, I unfortunately have no idea. I thought also that's a pretty good scoop. I have no idea. Through there, that's where the conspiracies can go for it, because that came on quick. That was strange. I mean, the guy was lucky, without a doubt, to get that interview. That was amazing. I don't necessarily follow him, but I did watch that, as everybody has. How he got the scoop, boy, great to know how. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I don't follow him either. I just happened to see the scoop and thought, this is very strange, when I know that there are creators with 100,000 followers that would not have been able to get that interview. So that I found odd. And I guess my other question is, what do you make of Xana May? Or do you even know who she is?
Yeah, of course, I don't know who she is. The fact that she came up, and again, I'm just speculating on what I've seen on other creators' channels. Crime, you might have covered that. I didn't follow that, except the fact that she would come there and kayak right on that area. That's super sus. I mean, she might be a great person. I don't know, but super suspect. I mean, listen, like I say, I went out there out of curiosity, because I hadn't been out to that area in a long time, just to see how it was, and also some alternative roads on how to get in there that locals might know. And that's it. And I've mentioned this on another channel, that it's very rough, and in the dark, it's I want to say virtually impossible, but to not go on the normal road, the normal entrances. And now I forgot what the question was. So what was it?
Well,
I'm
what do
sorry.
you make of her having sort of, I
Oh,
mean, there are 2 options. One is she just arrived on the scene for her 15 minutes. And the other
yeah.
is that she is a plant, so to speak, of law enforcement, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's unusual that she arrived on the scene and went to a YouTube right away, and has been a quote unquote celebrity around the channels. That's all that I say. Normally, to be honest, there are hundreds of lakes up here, hundreds of easier ones to access. Prosser is I'm going to say a dumb reservoir. that she wanted to go there instead of some of the other lakes. I think she's from the Bay Area. There's much better places to go. I mean, even on Lake Tahoe, there's some beautiful turquoise water areas that you would go on with a kayak. I kayak myself. I have kayaked at Boca, but not at Prosser. But people do, it's unusual that she would pick that spot at this close to the accident, unless that she had some agenda. I don't know if that helps you.
Looked like a fool's errand to me.
Like a what?
A fool's errand.
Okay. Yeah, I have no real speculation there. It just seems the timing and it was interesting. That's for sure.
It was just very bizarre, and I mean, I don't know. I think her 15 minutes is up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree. And my 15 minutes are up. If you have any other questions, I'd be glad to answer. Again, I'm sorry in the chat. I can't. I'm on my phone. I can't see it.
We've been putting them up. We've been having a nice conversation with you.
Well, again, I'm not here to push any theories. I'm only here to say what life is really like in Truckee. And you could talk about a lot of stuff about Truckee. But it is a very tourist-oriented town. And this is maybe something that's interesting. Is the town used to be very very conservative. There's the rodeo they have rodeo still. But in recent years, and I'm going to say the last 10 to 15 years, it has turned a lot more new age. That's for sure. A lot more a place to go and wear your Patagonia that you just bought at REI, that you wear your Merrells, you hike, you rock climb in the summer, you mountain bike, you e-bike, you go kayaking, you do all kinds of stuff, pickleball. I mean, anything you want to do. And in the winter, remember, there's 14 different ski resorts around Lake Tahoe. Just Google it. And there's many. The closest ones to Truckee would be, and you can Google it. It's North Star, Boreal, which is very popular with snowboarders. Sugar Bowl, very popular local place. You have Squaw Valley, that's called Palisades Tahoe because of the Indian thing. They changed the name. And where they had the Olympics in 1960. At the South Shore, where a lot of people from the Bay Area and Sacramento go because it's a little shorter. South Shore is on the border to Nevada and California, so you could gamble in the old days, walk over the border. You could even drink when it was 18 in Nevada. But they have Heavenly Valley, Mount Rose, and they're all 10,000, 9,000, 8,000 foot peaks. We're surrounded by mountains up here. Think of where you live, and I don't know where anybody lives here. If it's flat or it's mountainous, we are in the mountains here. This is heavy duty. I saw someone say, "Oh, this is the beginning of the Rockies" on one channel. It's the Sierra Nevadas, and it's the beginning of the Sierra Nevadas, which work into the Rockies. But the Sierra Nevada is a chain of mountains that runs from Northern California down through Southern California, Mammoth, a big ski area near Los Angeles that many people go to, and the Tahoe area is very famous for skiing. So the winter, you've got all the activities you do in the winter. It's really a tourist town, and it's gotten less conservative and more more advanced. I don't know. The words fail me. More.
You know what you're thinking. Trust me.
You know what I'm trying to say. Help me. Yeah, much more progressive. What? Liberal. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. If you check the voting in what's interesting is Nevada County, which has nothing to do with Nevada. Placer County is a very big county, by the way. It covers way down near Sacramento, all the way up here, and into Lake Tahoe and parts of Truckee. Nevada County stretches down from a little north of Sacramento, near Auburn, Grass Valley, Nevada City, and goes all the way up here. And in Western Nevada County, which is not this area, be towards the west, is very still much conservative in the voting. Is the signs of that. Up here, we used to be like that. Now it's to the, and we are the eastern part of Nevada County towards the border to Reno. And remember, I want to say not very far from Burning Man. I used to call Truckee now the gateway to Burning Man. Everybody goes through here and Google Burning Man if you've never heard of it. It's probably a great thing. I see there's a lot of stuff about it, but people go through here. It just ended a few weeks ago, and they wash their car off when they come back in Truckee, and the local car wash guy gets mad. But it really has changed into much more liberal in voting and everything. Without a doubt, it's much more liberal than it was, which is probably in a lot of areas. Who knows?
So yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous area. And it's like you said, high tourism. And that could be, as other people have said, part of the quit talking about it, just hush. People aren't going to come here and spend their money if they just think this town is, well, full of just corrupt anything goes. You know, a child, you know, a 16-year-old girl dies under very suspicious circumstances, and they just put a bow on it and say, she had an accident. So, but you're seeing people around the community. So like when you're out and about, people aren't even really talking about it.
No, not at all. I asked someone on our street the other day what they thought about it, and that works in a big employer here in town, and she had, I think she would have been open, but basically told me that they go to that area because it's not really patrolled, and it's kind of a natural. So there's really, the town is tight-lipped. And remember this, the town council, I don't say city council because it's a town, was incorporated, I think, in 1995, something like that. Otherwise, it was just a in the district of Nevada County, and all the town board members, the mayor and such, have business interests in town. I'm not saying that's bad, but one owns a sporting goods shop. All in the past, 99% of the town board members own businesses in towns, and the agenda goes in that direction. Police also are assisting in promoting that narrative that Truckee's a great place, and it is for tourism, and businesses rule, merchants rule up here. I'm telling you, they do.
I would think they would be really concerned then about, well, just what has come out since Kylie went missing. A little bit of a fentanyl problem there, and the fact that these parties go on unpatrolled, and that, well, Kylie Rodney died. We have a death certificate that says unknown, yet she's been cremated. All of these red flags and suspicions around the teens, that we're doing the teen-to-teen meetings and stuff like that. I mean, is the community as a whole, do you think they're going to be okay if this just goes away as a tragic accident and rest in peace, Kylie, that's it?
I hate to say it, but I think that will be like that. That might be atypical of other towns too. I think they were concerned in the beginning. Now it's been only really on social media, and if those business owners watch social media, who knows? But it has been very. I think they worried about it in the beginning, and now, unless something really comes out this November 1st, which will shock everybody, including myself, that something weird has happened. It's going to go away, unfortunately, and I am all for justice for Kylie. Your channel promotes that.
Nature Babe has a question. Did the community come together when she first went missing, as was reported? And did you find it strange? And I wasn't there. I don't live there. I found it really strange that the memorial was so minimal, because you're talking 16,000 plus in the town. There was, well, hundreds of people at the party. She did have a graduating class. So it seemed kind of like a small turnout considering the gravity of the situation. Did you find that odd?
No, absolutely. But when the first part of her question, the community came together. That's a good catchphrase. Community came together, and I've heard that so much lately. But there was only a certain amount of people. Everybody's working up here and busy in with their lives. That the community would come together, and they always seem to do in hurricanes, earthquakes, natural disasters. It brings the community together to a certain extent. But remember, there wasn't 16,000 people out there. When we talk about community, we really got to define that, and I'm not here to do that. But there was several hundred people, I think, that went and helped look. And I could be wrong; there might have been less, and maybe some people from out of the area, all the agencies. But at the memorial, I was surprised that again, there's not 16,000 people going to be going there. It just doesn't work like that for the work community or the town. Her community, she had her group, her set of groupie people who hang around with her, like I say, associates or friends, and that's fine. And there was maybe 20. I watched about 20 hugs or something like that. I saw everybody there, except the person that filmed it. But and like I said earlier, the father had like 3 people in an hour come up to him, including Jagger, which was interesting. And Jagger actually left with the mom, and then I walked out at that time too, and I lost sight of Jagger. I wanted to see what kind of car he drove, just because I know he's into cars. And the mother joined her group and left, and that was it. But yeah, 100 people max at that memorial is weird. It shows you, it kind of, and there were signs everywhere, by the way. The missing signs and were plastered everywhere, even in Tahoe City, down by the lake, 20 miles away, Kings Beach, everywhere around here. We had those missing persons signs, which was fine, which was good. I don't think it helped.
Now, I see a bunch of people in chat talking about Adventures with Purpose. They're based out of Oregon. Did I say something to cause confusion? They're based out of Oregon.
That's my understanding too.
Okay, I just saw a bunch of comments all at once saying, no, they're from Oregon. I think they're from Oregon. I didn't know where it came from. I just want to make sure I didn't say something wrong, because it happens quite often. Well, I didn't realize I had kept everybody almost 3.5 hours. And it's been quite a pleasure having you up here. When you have time, send me an email. Do you mind doing that?
No, that's fine. I'll do that, and check your spam if it ends up there. And again, I apologize in advance for taking a lot of time out of this. I did want to give you somebody. We hear a lot of people on these broadcasts, so to speak, that aren't local, and all kinds of things can come up. That's why I have a hard time following the other cases, because they're so far away in distance. I have no idea of the area, and that this one happened here. That the father said, remember, this kind of thing shouldn't happen up here. This is Truckee. Stuff happens. Stuff happens without a doubt.
It shouldn't happen anywhere. It shouldn't happen anywhere.
Absolutely.
This was 100% preventable. 100% preventable. Either way it goes, it was preventable.
I agree, and again, I apologize in advance if I'm trying not to hog your station. You do your thing. You're doing a good job. I just wanted to give a little bit of a local perspective, and I hope I could do that.
And I'm glad you did, because anytime we have, especially when a case is brand new, I always try to find someone from the area, even if they don't live right in the town, to give us the happenings, what really goes on around there. If not, it's just left up to the imagination, and it's better to talk to somebody from there that's telling us this is what the community's saying. They're not talking about it anymore.
Not. You're right. And listen, I'll bow out of here. You can finish your thing. Thanks for having me, though. I appreciate it.
Hey, send me an email.
Okay, will do.
I'm gonna go too now.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope I didn't hijack your channel either.
Not at all. And my email, this is for everybody, is on the About tab. It's CLL, just like the channel, 72020@gmail.com. So send me an email when you get a chance. Is that
Which
okay?
I did, and mine got bounced back to me as undeliverable. So I've got to try again.
Yeah, try again because I get emails all the time.
Okay. Well, I found you about a month ago, and I've been a an avid follower. I like that you present different opinions and that you're a very approachable person.
Hey, variety's the spice of life, my friend. Nobody
Yes.
wants to sit in an echo chamber.
That is true. All right, you all take care. And Jay, thank you so much. I love listening to you and your perspective as well.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I certainly appreciate your insight today as well.
Okay, you all take care.
You two have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, Jay, that was very, very interesting.
It's been it's been real for sure.
I feel like I just been in the Olympics. We lost Sleuthy somewhere in there. UFC Frog was backstage for a minute. I don't know if he got bored waiting or what, but we'll get to everybody that was backstage at the next show on Monday. We had a bunch of new names in here, so please hit that sub button. Stay reminded, because like yesterday, I went live at 6 o'clock last night to talk about Debbie Collier and the 911 calls. We were going to go over them before the press conference this morning. Still wound up going over them again. That's okay. We'll go over them again and again and again, just like on this case. Something strikes us odd, something didn't stick out to us before. We'll talk about it again. What do you say, Jay?
Oh, most definitely.
All right, my friend, I'll see you over in Discord. Let's have a big round of applause for our friend Jay. Thanks,
Thank
Lucy,
you.
for coming up. Dr. Latina, great insight. Thank you to RT. And thank you to all of you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you, even if we don't agree. We don't have to agree. What's the fun in an echo chamber? What is the fun in that? So thank you again for another wonderful conversation, another great discussion. Thank you for being wonderful friends. Best chat and best community on YouTube. I didn't make it up. You guys prove it every time. I'll see you back here on Monday. Bye-bye.